Cool. Hey, everybody. Nick, Brandon, and Barrett here. And we are Amongst Friends podcast. We're just going to be having a chat today. How's everybody doing?
Doing pretty
Doing
good.
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 Doing
You
Yeah.
good.
guys surviving the snowpocalypse here?
Barely.
Wouldn't without all these space heaters. That's for sure. The insulation is not holding it in.
Do you guys like the snow?
I like it briefly, like a day or two, and once it's gone, I'm happy. Like as long as it's not enough to like derail like everything that's going on in life, I'm good with it. So normally, like it snows one day, it sticks on the ground, and then it's gone the next morning. It's perfect, usually perfect for me.
Hmm.
Oh, I mean, I've been out in the snow more than everyone else in my house, but I've got that hill in my front yard that I've been bombing on old skateboards and stuff. So like I haven't skated in years now, and I've been out snowboarding down the hill in my front yard. So in that sense, I love the snow. Um, it's also been like the best way if it's too cold in the house, I'll go outside, bundle up, like 2 layers, hit that hill like 4 or 5 times, and then come inside and have to take all my clothes off because I'm sweating. It's hot in the house. So it's like how I kind of like re-regulate my temperature. But I like it for that sense. I don't like it because my job is to drive, and I've not
Hmm.
been able to work because the roads have been terrible. I probably could have worked yesterday, but I'd already committed to the mindset. So um, I went out and had to get groceries kind of late in the day once the sun finally started like really melting stuff, and it wasn't that bad. Today I was all over the place and it was all the roads are clear. The
Yeah.
south side of town even didn't even look like it got hit, bro. Like it looks like I told Ken, I was like, we have the best looking snowy yard in Cleveland. Out of all of them that I saw today, there's no snow on the south side of town. Like you wouldn't have even thought
Yeah,
it happened.
yeah. That's the way my parents are. Like they were pretty much just waiting for the snow to come, and they may have
Hmm.
got ice the next morning just from rain, but like really they didn't get anything, and like my yard still looks like it's fresh for the most part. And it's been what
Yeah.
four 4 days, 4 or 5 days now.
Yeah, it was the
Mine's
perfect
just a
recipe to just
solid,
like just a solid brick.
yeah, it's just a brick that you can either slip on or
Hmm.
it just kind of cracks and you fall through it at this point. Dude, I did the
Yeah.
most inconsiderate, ignorant thing today though, man. When I went out to get groceries, I got the ice off the windshield, at least 30% of it, like just enough to have like literally eyeballs carved out of my windshield, so I could see. But I left all the ice on top of the roof of the car and I didn't think about it at all. And dude, almost caused like a catastrophic
Oh yeah,
insurance nightmare.
I spent all day yesterday like getting mine and Bryson's car ready, and that was like the main thing for her because she was supposed to have worked yesterday, and I was like, with it being an SUV, I was like, there's so much ice on the top, like we've got to get that off before you leave. And
You're gonna kill somebody.
yeah, I
I
told her,
almost did.
yeah, and
Why- Go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I mean, we finally got it clear, and then she actually leaves to go into work early, and then they end up closing early before she even made it there, so she didn't even get to work at all.
Yeah, she came by here and
Yeah,
she was all like ready for Domino's, and I was like, "You going to work?" I'd seen that text come through, or that, and I was like, "You going to work?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm going in." And I was like, "Hmm," and I just like didn't really say anything, and then I was like, I said something about them closing early, and she's like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Yeah, Matt said that they were closing early at night." And she was like, "I didn't even see that. Maybe I'm not going to work." They've closed early. Like it's crazy for a food place too to close early 3 days in one week. Like, I mean, it's one thing with Whirlpool, like basically shutting down production, but they run out of
yeah,
parts kind of often, from what I understand. So that kind of thing can happen in that case, right? But
yeah. I
like,
more so maybe like I don't know exactly how the percentages work, but I assume a lot of the business comes from a lot of deliveries, and so I guess they don't want any. I mean, in one sense, they don't
Our
want
store
anything happen to the drivers.
definitely they've been cutting off deliveries before they close, like basically before dark. But um, they've been shutting the store down at like 8. I think yesterday they closed at 7. Um, and our store is 70% carryouts. So it's like between 60 and 70% carryouts. So it's just, I don't know, kind of crazy. But it was supposed to rain and sleet and be icy tonight, and I don't think that started yet. So
Is it?
I don't know.
I
Just
thought it looked overcast earlier. I didn't check. I didn't check the
that was
weather
just
though.
what like the hourly was saying. For a few days, it said like this snow. We're gonna have like a second little smaller round of snow tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw that we might get some
But
sleet tonight, but I don't
yeah,
think it's ever. I don't think it's going to get cold enough to really stick. So,
yeah, I was seeing it was supposed to get down to like 12 again on some nights, but
but yeah, I mean, right here,
next week it's warm. We got a warm
yeah,
week next week. You know,
good. I need it.
everything's fine. Everything's
What's
good.
warm? Like 40, 60?
Yeah, 30. I think I saw 60s on there, man.
Dude, our sink froze up. Did I tell you all that? Like our
No,
kitchen sink, the
No.
pipes froze. Yeah, it sucked. And it's still the
Uh,
dishwasher's not working, but luckily yesterday it started thawing out. So yeah, it's working again.
mm,
We should do like any dishes or anything. I was like, we might have to do these in the bathtub. Um, but that wouldn't have been good. Uh, so yeah,
man,
now I'm
that's
ready
rough.
for it to be. Yeah, I'm ready for it to be over now. Plus,
Hmm.
we didn't go outside once in the snow. I was like, it's nice to look at. The best thing to me about the snow is like how quiet it is outside. That's
Yeah,
that's the that's the best part, and it just feels really good. But I don't like
it like
playing in the snow.
soundproofs everything.
Yes, it's the best. I
Hmm.
wish it sounded like that all year round. I
yeah,
think it's the best.
I agree with that sentiment for the most part, except right where our houses are, like especially in this one section of the road, all the shades right there, so it's got really no sun for the most part, and just about
Y'all are gonna have snow for 2 more weeks.
probably, but like I'd say about 20 or 30 yards of the road, like just pretty much directly in front of our property. That part was solid ice. Like the rest of the road outside of it was fine, but just that one section. And like I'll hear a car drive by, and it's like the most like awful sound. It sounds like somebody's actually like driven off the road or something. So I'm like instantly like jerking, like look out there and see what happened. Um, but had a good had something cool happen this morning where I thought I heard thought I heard a car driving by, and I look outside. Jackson, my son, and we were sitting on the couch watching TV. Heard the sound outside, and I looked back, and there were 4 deer standing out in the road. And so like they went from my yard into Nick's yard, and we sat there and watched them for about a few minutes or two. So that was nice.
That's cool. It's fun to
Hey, I
watch my
gotta.
dogs run across it, run across the
Oh yeah,
frozen, solid,
the
icy snow.
the
Spray.
deer
I
were
feel
being
bad
real
for
careful.
Dante, but I bet it'd been kind of funny to watch one bust its ass in the middle of the street though, and be like, "Yeah, see,
I
that's why I can't go to work."
it's kind of
I
hoping
would
to
enjoy that.
happen.
Hey, I gotta acknowledge the chat real quick. Somebody named Brandy joined, so hi.
Hi, Brandy.
Hi, Brandy. Welcome to the
Complete
stream.
stranger. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, like I said, I was driving earlier to get groceries, and I noticed, like, I looked at my rear view, and there was like a car behind me, but it was like 7 car lengths back,
Oh yeah, they were
and
probably waiting.
I knew something was wrong. And then, like, I'm driving, I accelerated a little bit, and then I just heard what sounded like a tree fall on the roof of the
Oh,
car. What it was like a sheet of ice that just like flipped and folded and then hit the back. And then I look in the rear view mirror, and there's just an explosion of just snow. It looked like a James Bond like oil slick or something. And I was like, I realized I got so self conscious. I was like, I got to be the most inconsiderate looking person on the road. And dude, I was looking around panicked. I was looking everywhere for a car that also had ice on it. Guess how many I saw? Not one, dude. Not one car. Everybody else
It was
had the
just you.
It was just me, dude. I was like trying to like find that car and drive close to it, and it didn't happen. So I was like, just please don't let any of these people pull into Food City because I don't want to make eye contact with them. So anyway,
They're
that
gonna
was
follow you there.
oh, it was I felt so embarrassed,
I think
and
I think I watch
yeah,
Final Destination like way too much earlier in life that like I look out for specific things like that.
mm, as you should. I was like, oh
I,
no, this might be an insurance problem. I was like, this might dent somebody's paint or something. I don't know. So,
yeah, I didn't have the snow on the car problem. I've got that
huh.
that carport finally came in handy. This is the
But then you got snow on the carport, dude. So like then you got
it's
to deal
cool
with
because
that.
like our carport is like like a triangular pitch, right? And the snow
Sure.
has just been like sliding down, and whenever it is going off the sides, it's just curling. So it's like the snow. There's like a wall that's like this big of just snow that's hanging off in a sheet from the edges of the carport. It looked kind of cool. I was trying to like punch it from the inside and just get all of it to slide off at one time, but didn't work.
Hey, take root yoga. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Kanan.
Identity revealed.
Or maybe
So
not,
much for the
or maybe not Kanan.
there
It's
goes the witness
somebody.
protection program. Yeah. But anyway, I'm kind of over the snow too. Yeah, like the kids. I'm glad the kids have been home. That's not the problem, but they've been
Yeah.
out a week. They're out tomorrow too. So I guess they'll be in school through like halfway through summer to make up for it. I don't know.
Well, see, I think part of this is my fault because I was
Thought was
I was
true.
talking shit last week because they got out like 2 days for the win, and I'm like, man, they got all those snow days like they've got to use. I'm sure they've got some kind of
Rain
quote.
days,
I'm sure they've got some kind of
Yeah,
quota, and I'm like,
windy
use them or
days.
lose them. Use them or lose them, right?
yeah, they got to use those days up. I was like, and so far like the winter's been very mild. Like it's only gotten below freezing maybe a handful of times, if at all. And I was like,
Hmm.
man, they're just using up those days, so they don't waste them. And then sure enough, a whole week. So, within 2 weeks, I think they went to school for 3 days.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It's
crazy.
been Smash Brothers. Been playing Smash Brothers and Elden Ring. We've been alternating between those two, so not a bad mix.
Yeah, we played as the four of us as a family, we played the Bluey game just a little bit, and but my 4-year-old that she just got a Switch Lite for Christmas, and she's really been into Animal Crossing, so we've been trying to help her out with that, and I love that game. It got me through like the first 3 or 4 months of the pandemic, but there are some frustrating aspects of it where if you're visiting somebody else's island and somebody leaves, like without actually going through, like they just like either quit the game or something, like it cancels everybody's progress out and the whole trip got wasted. And my daughter's done that a few times now, where it's just like, we just did so much to help you out, and then you just erased all of it.
Mm.
Dude, at one point, my son Odin, he was really into the game, and he loved catching the bugs and stuff and the
Yeah.
fish. But he never, so he had like the community museum, right, where everybody can like take the fish and put them in there, and there's an aquarium. Well, he didn't do that. He built his own aquarium in his house, and every room, dude, was these giant like whale-sized sharks and octopus and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, why don't you put him in a museum? He's like, no, I want him. I want him here. Dude had a solid like 1.1.1.5 million bells worth of sea creatures in his house. And I was like, dude, if you put him in the aquarium though, there's like a whole display and like it makes it bigger. And he's like, no,
I'm not
no, I'm
talking
good
to that
here.
stupid bird.
Yeah,
Those are
it's like,
mine.
all right. So
You
it
can't
was
have
so
none
funny.
of them. I'm gonna have the best museum in town.
Dude, he had no
They're the-
bed, no refrigerator. There was nothing. It was just aquarium stacked on top of each other. But he had everything. He had like he got to the point where he was catching like he had like three of the rarest fish in the game. It was like it's that guy with like the rare Pokemon cards. He's got like triples and doubles of everything. So yeah, that's my memory of that
That's
game.
awesome.
That and just being in debt the entire time, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's that's always
I
fun.
was hesitant about even playing again because yeah, the last time I played, like I said, it was like first probably 4 or 5 months of the pandemic in 2020, and there for a good month, a month solid. I was checking things every day to check on turnip prices and all this to the point where I had it mathed out, and I'm like, man, I cannot get this invested again.
Work in the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Did you time glitch?
I
Mm.
did. I did near the end, and I played that. I think it was before I got the OLED. So like once I got the OLED, I screwed up and didn't transfer my island over,
Mm.
so I lost all of it. I had to start over. And in a
I didn't
way,
know
it
you
was
got an
like,
OLED.
yeah. And in a way, like that refresh was kind of what I needed to break that cycle. I was like, I don't need to be doing this every day. It's not a job. But I've been trying to like slowly get back into it with her, just so that it's fun for her. And it's cracked me up because like if she goes in any of the shops, like it frustrates her that Timmy and Tommy just follow her around.
What does she say?
I it's just yeah, most of it's just like yeah, man, they keep following me, they keep following me, they won't leave me alone.
That's cute.
But that and then like she got traumatized by the bees, like she got stung once or
Mm.
twice, and then she just won't even hit a tree, and like she's afraid like a nest is gonna pop out of every
There's
one of
bees
them.
in it.
But
That's real shit.
she got over that fear last night. I was like, mm,
So you guys ready for summer then?
yeah, for the
I'm
most
ready for
part.
spring. I'm not ready for summer.
Spring
Summer's
sounds nice.
I'm,
yeah.
I'm not
I'm
so sure about spring. My seasonal allergies pick up,
Mm.
and usually for probably a solid month, like I'm just useless.
I think spring's usually good to me on allergy. It's fall that usually fucks me up. But this last year, I mean, knock on wood, I made it through without the seasonal sinus infection that I normally get. I usually get knocked out at least once. But no, summertime, I don't know. I don't like sweating too much for doing nothing. You know what I mean? Just it being hot for
Yeah.
no damn reason. And I also have the same problem where like right now it's hard to keep my house warm whenever it's hot as fuck outside. Like it just sucks. I don't know. I like the middle ground, spring and fall, whenever there's days we can leave the windows open and exist inside without being feeling the misery of outside.
Yeah, September and October are usually like my favorite time of the year.
Prime time.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, mine would probably be winter. I think winter used to be my favorite season, but I don't know, now it's just too gray, you know. I like a little bit of life outside, you know. So yeah, fall's nice. Spring's all right too, but yeah, summer, I'm with you, Barrett. Like I don't do the heat, dude. Like I do not like to sweat. I do not like being hot unnecessarily. And yeah, I don't go outside as much as I used to. So, but you know, we'll see what it's like this year. Try to enjoy where we're at. So what topics you guys got? Anything? Brandon, I know you had a couple things.
Um, I just want just for some topical stuff. I mean, we had a Xbox developer direct today go on, or they showed off a few of the games they're working on, and I mean, out of that list, like going into it, um, like Hellblade 2 is probably the thing I was most looking forward to. Um, I probably played the original about a year and a half ago or so, and really loved like the design of that game. Pretty much, I mean, just there weren't really many weaknesses to it. I don't think. But one of the bigger things was the the way they present everything. Like there's no HUD for the game, which really makes it, in my opinion, it's really immersive. Where whether your health levels and all this, it's um, they use different cues on the screen, whether it's the like different overlays over the screen going red or something when you're getting close to death. But I thought that game was really innovative and like I said, that aspect. And there's a lot of puzzles in the game, and because the main character's suffering from psychosis, like she's actually hearing, like her thoughts are kind of walking her through some of the puzzles sometimes, and I just thought that was an interesting way to intertwine the gameplay elements with the story. Um, is that something that either of you played?
I didn't play. Was it Senua's Sacrifice,
Yeah,
Hellblade?
yeah,
But I know I recognized the thumbnail for it. It looks like artistically a really cool game. I love the art style to it. It reminds me of a band um, that does like shamanistic uh, music, and it's like a whole experience. I wish I could think of their name right off. Um,
Yeah, I know who you're
Heilung,
talking about.
Heilung, I think is what they're called, and like the singer's got long red dreads, and she looks like she's like painted up like a shaman, sticks and bones in her hair and stuff, and they're like playing on bones and all kinds of just making like chanty kind of sounds, and um, but it makes me think of just artistically, it seems like that same kind of style. It's not a game I ever really got a chance to touch on.
it
Um,
it's not very long.
I probably need to play that.
It's nice. It's good. Yeah, I think I finished it in a day or two.
Okay, I have it. I think it was free 1 month, right?
I think so.
Maybe, or maybe I have it another way. I'll have to look. I've got also got premium if it's on there. I need to play that because
It's so good. Yeah. Yeah, I played it. And maybe it's crazy is I want to say that Barrett they worked with some group or artist for the music of the game. I want to say it might be the one you're even thinking of. And
really,
maybe the chat can look it up. um, but uh I know they worked with somebody, and I saw them do like a live performance at one of the award shows or something. But
yeah,
no, it's an
no, no,
awesome game. I played it a couple times, and I think it came out
kind of
came
looks
out
like
like
her.
Looks
yeah,
familiar.
Uh,
that does look
That's the
familiar.
lead singer of the band I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's like that Nordic Celtic. Yeah,
Yeah,
someone just shared
Celtic
a link.
shaman.
The design alone is worth playing it for, because I know they use 3D audio, and then they actually recorded it. They had three voice actors portray at least three voice actors portray the voices, and they actually had them like rotate and move around the microphone as they did these voices that are supposed to simulate the main character's schizophrenia. And so as you have the headphones on, it
Yes.
really sounds like people are rotating around you,
Yes.
and that
It's
these voices are. It's insane. It's nuts. Like and there's literally, Brandon, you probably remember, there's literally a warning ahead of time that says like, if you have any problems with this stuff in your personal life and you're going through, you probably shouldn't play this game. It says something along
yeah.
those lines, because it's pretty it can be pretty disturbing even if you haven't experienced that. But no, it's an awesome game, and it's like 6 or 7 hours long, maybe
Yeah.
max. It
Okay,
so definitely play it. It might be like $5 on PlayStation Network. It's also on Xbox, and I think it runs better on Xbox, but it runs great on PlayStation as well. So,
Yeah. But
um,
I will say this: the sequel is exclusive to Xbox, though.
yeah, yep, you're
Um,
right.
y'all work me up just to tear me down.
We'll
Damn.
find a way. We'll find a way.
yeah.
But no, I'm looking forward to it. I think that, to me, that's like one of the few games that'll get me to dust off an Xbox and play it. Not that I
I need
hate,
to upgrade
not that I
that
dislike it, but you know.
uptime. I'm gonna see if I have it.
Yeah, that
But
game is great, and like you said, the way they do the audio for that game is
mhm,
top notch. And from what they were talking about today, um, they're I guess improving on that, including like newer sound elements to include in that spatial audio. But yeah,
mhm.
it's really well done. Like I said, it perfectly weaves in the narrative into the gameplay and the experience. And but yeah, really looking forward to that. I was looking forward to that probably more than anything else they showed on this. Um,
Brandon, thought a question for you.
yeah,
Like, I've been looking forward to it as well. I think if it's been in development like somewhere between 4 and 6 years. Like, it's been getting worked on for a long time by them. The thing that like check me on this. The thing that kind of like disappointed me was when they did the video today. They mentioned that this was another. They said maybe they said shorter or brief experience. I was kind of expecting, maybe just because of how long it's been in development, that it would be a much bigger game, right? That like they were making it a much bigger property with a larger world, a lot more content, possibly even like side content that's optional. And I think it's like I get that that sounds like it's not what they're doing, but I was a little disappointed to be like, oh, this is like the number one game. That's it is super expensive game. Like they've poured a ton of money in developing it. Were you disappointed at all by hearing that, or was that what you expected?
um, no, not really. And I say that because it's definitely. I think that the way the first game was, that game's definitely a great example of less is more. And because and I for a game like that, I say that because I do I, I play a lot of I guess third person RPGs at this point where they do have a lot of those like side missions and crafting systems off to the side. And depending on what the story is, sometimes it it ruins the immersion a little bit when the story they're telling is like pretty urgent and you're taking time to go do all these extracurricular things. So I think with a game like that, I mean, it, they could definitely make that story last a little bit longer than the first one, but I think for the most part, with the type of stories they're trying to tell, I don't necessarily think that they need to add any of the extra stuff in, um, because to some degree, like it also played like a Soulsborne game, so I think there's different elements like New Game Plus or something like that they could add in, but I don't know about extra like side missions or anything like that.
Their take. I was curious what you thought. I think it's probably whatever they choose to do is going to be the best decision. But I just, for some reason, expected it to be a lot bigger,
Yeah,
in length and stuff. And it doesn't need to be, but I don't know. I just thought that they might be going that direction to make it kind of like Xbox's God of War or something.
yeah,
But I think it'll still be awesome, whatever they do with it.
yeah. Like I said, I think it could be longer, but I don't know how much they want to pad that with just side content.
Yeah.
I'm only able to either add it to my wish list or follow the game. I'm not able to buy it or
On PlayStation?
see. Yeah, I'm in the store looking at it right now.
It may be one of the rare titles that didn't get PS4 support or something. I don't know. I'm not sure.
That's weird.
Yeah. Like it
I
says
want
I
to
have
say,
friends who play it, um, but yeah, the menu for it just it only allows me to follow the game or add it to a wish list.
that's
Weird.
weird. Is there those three? Well, we'll troubleshoot
The
why.
three, yeah,
I
the
guess
I
so.
checked the three dots and it was like personalization options and one other thing that had nothing to
Hmm,
do with it. It's weird. But yeah, I'll look into that
that's
later.
weird. But no, the game looks great.
Um,
What did you think? Did you guys? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Barrett.
well, I was gonna mention another game. I didn't get to watch any of the trailers that they released today, but I saw that they touched on Avowed
Mm,
and
Dude,
um,
I
being an Obsidian game. That seems like it'll be interesting, where like you're one of those games where your choices affect the game. I thought I read that there was a little bit of like like a morality tale to it, kind of like how New Vegas plays, where you can do some shit, fuck up some different sidelines, and it'll change it up a little bit or whatever.
Yeah, I will say like I was excited for that one too. But while watching it, it probably made me think of you the most, Barrett, because you've mentioned like the way you play Elder Scrolls games, and so with Avowed and with Outer Worlds, those are like the two games that Obsidian are using as kind of like a answer or alternative to Skyrim and
Mm.
Fallout. And they did really well with Outer Worlds, and with this game, like I'm excited to see what they're going to do. But I thought of you because of the way you said you mostly play first person, and I think so far
Mhm.
with both of their RPGs like this, they are sticking strictly to first person. And but today they showed off a little bit of how their combat system's going to work, and I just thought it was actually cool that instead of like in Elder Scrolls where if you get magic you just shoot whatever out of your hands, like you have to actually pick like a staff, or they've actually got wands in this, and
Oh, cool.
you can dual wield the wands. Like it's pretty cool.
Hell yeah, that's cool.
They showed off. It's going to be a really weird mix because the one weapon that they showed off that looked kind of off-putting was it looked like they had like these black powder revolvers, which felt kind of out of place. So I'm curious how that's going to fit in because it does seem like it's centered around like the same type of fantasy setting that the Elder Scrolls games are. So I'm curious how they're going to add in guns. But yeah, it was interesting seeing how they were implementing like the different options because you could dual wield like a wand and a sword, like two wands. It was just they had bows and
Oh
everything in the
man.
game, so it was really cool. So it kind of is. They even mentioned it a little bit in the stream, but like my first thought was like having two wands as being like a magic, like gunslinger essentially. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
I was
really
about to say a
cool.
gun mage just
Yeah,
sounds really cool.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I think if you can do two wands in a game, you gotta do you gotta do two wands in a game. Um, I actually when I saw the musket, I'll be honest, like right now, I'm not super interested in it. It just kind of looks generic in a lot of ways to me. Um, but when they showed the muskets or whatever, I was like, oh, okay, that's a little unique. I'm kind of curious now. Um, but it reminded me of Fable 2, or was it Fable 2 or 3
Two.
that had guns? Yeah, 2. So I thought
Mm.
um, that was a nice piece of nostalgia to think about. But yeah, I'll be curious to see what it's like. That was probably the least interested I was of the games they showed. But it'll probably be great because it's Obsidian, and Outer Worlds was good. They did Fallout New Vegas, right?
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then
What about
What else
they,
Indiana
was there on
Jones?
there? Yeah.
Did y'all watch it? The trailer?
yeah,
I didn't get a chance to watch any of these. I just kind of touched on highlights from the showcase is what I had time to do. Um, I'm also like within that indie is kind of like for me the least excited of anything that was shown just because I'm not an Indiana Jones fan. Me and Kanan tried to rewatch Raiders probably a few months ago and um, forgot how long it is, and then we fell asleep and woke up in the middle of the like faces melting and shit, and it's like felt like a fever dream. It just
yeah,
wasn't a great experience at all. So like, because a while back, like to build up for, I was like, Indiana Jones 5's coming out soon. Like, I need to watch these movies. I've probably seen two of them one time each in my life, and we tried. It's at least the first one's very dated. There's a lot of stuff that just in this day and age doesn't land right. As- Harrison Ford mumbles too much throughout it, so you can't even like hear him. He'll have a good one liner, and you can't even hear what he said. But I'm sure the game would be really cool. I didn't see gameplay from it, but I mean, with games like Uncharted and Tomb Raider that like literally like they're doing that, I'm sure Indiana Jones is gonna,
Well,
take the ball and run with it. It could be cool. It's its
that
own story too.
yeah, well, that's where I'm concerned with it. You mentioned Uncharted and Tomb Raider, because those movies were the whole reason like I really got into both of those game series, because is live pretty much living out those movies. But I, I am excited for it, but that has me worried because it's made by the same team that made the Wolfenstein games, so they're going to be first person. And I don't mean to say that it's made by them as a complete negative, because I played through that whole series and loved it. But um,
Wait,
yeah,
this
I just
indie game is first person?
yes, they're going to add
What?
in they're going to add in specific like cinematics or like traversal sections of the game where like if you've got to scale up the side of a wall or something like that, it's going to go into third person just for those moments. But yeah, it looks like the rest of the gameplay is going to be first person. Um, so that has me a little concerned because after playing games like Tomb Raider and Uncharted, I kind of wanted to see, an actual Indiana Jones game in that same kind of setting. But but like I said,
I mean, it would be cool to like, I mean, outside the first person, like thinking just about how Indiana Jones goes through temples and shit and like all the secret little things that you find and like basically the, you know, just getting out, getting through. Like I feel like the traversal of that could be fun, but it shocks me that that is a first person game.
yeah,
That's
I was pretty surprised.
bold.
it's bold,
Yeah.
and like I said, they can. I think there's a lot of respect to be earned from it if they do it well. But yeah, it has me a
Hmm.
little concerned.
It
I don't
definitely
think it's
seemed like
coming out this
the
year.
I don't know.
They
That
say it's coming out this year. I'm like, no, that's definitely getting delayed to
you're
2025.
I was gonna say everything that they showed today had they didn't have specific dates necessarily, but they did all say this year. And out of all of them, that one's the one game that I believe the other two, like Avowed and Hellblade, I think they've had plenty of time, so I'm not really concerned
Hmm.
about that. But the Indiana Jones game, I just don't know. Like, especially with that IP, they need to take their time with it.
Yeah.
yeah,
That'll
because
look
I think
good.
I mean, especially following the movie, which was controversial. I think.
Yeah. Don't get me
Yeah.
started.
I
Um,
think in lore it takes place before the last movie. Or no,
it looked
no,
younger.
it's no, I take that back. It's between Raiders and Last Crusade.
Um, do we know who's voicing?
It wasn't Harrison Ford, but they used his face.
Yeah,
I don't know who the voice was. It was a little
they're like, well, we
off-putting.
already got you for this de aging. We got you in the system now. We can
Yeah.
make you in a video game now.
Yeah, I don't know who. I'm not sure who the voice actor was. I'll see if I can look it up.
Man, if they got like the guy that narrates a lot of the Star Wars books, audiobooks, he his name's Mark Thompson. His Han Solo is like the most spot on. Like that dude sounds like Harrison Ford when he wants to. It's crazy. It'd be
That's what
really
they
cool
got.
to see someone like that, or even like
So
the guy that played young Han, Aaron Allwright. I mean, he had practice imitating.
He did. Yeah. He did.
so they got Troy Baker for
Oh,
Indy.
Really?
okay. Well, he'll do great.
Well,
Wow.
normally I would agree, but I'm I don't know. Like
He
I
can do every voice.
he is really good, and I
Can.
mean he's really good. I'm just concerned that it's a voice we already know. So there's going to be a little bit of a gap there, I think, but it wasn't too bad in the trailer. But
It's like what was bad in the trailer was the lip syncing.
yeah,
Like that's made me watch it, and I was like, this is not finished. Like it just like his face. If you watch it more than once or even once, I was like, his face is not animating to any of this, any of this dialogue and stuff. And then there's this part where they show the whip gameplay. And like I think at one point like, he whips like a Nazi's leg or something and pulls him, but it doesn't even wrap around the leg. Like you have if you watch it back, you'll be looking for it, you'll see it. Like it just kind of does this animation and then the Nazi flips or trips or whatever. I was like, like it's coming along nicely, and like I was right there with you, Barrett. I was like, this is first person. Like, how could you do this? Like, let us screw up. But
Crazy.
then I'm watching it though, but like the parts where he's like swinging with the whip, using it as like as a rope or whatever. Uh, that goes into third person and then lets you like control it like Uncharted, and then you let go and then it's back in first person. And I'm like, this is an interesting choice. I just feel like you're gonna make an Indiana Jones game, you always want to you know see Indiana Jones, but
Yeah.
that's just my opinion. But
I don't.
the thing is, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say taking in and out of first person and third person like that, just for like a cinematic swing or whatever, just like kind of kills immersion for me. Like I would like to be able to like Elder Scrolls does, just have the option if I want to play in third or I want to play in first. If you're gonna take me in and out of it for random thing, like Destiny did it. Like whenever you be it's a first person game, you pull the sword out, you're in third person. Like
I think the
is
closer comparison will be. I haven't played 3 and 4, but I think the closest comparison will be how they did the Resident Evil 2 remake. Because like I think they did a lot of that where if you had to climb a ladder or something, like I think it went into third person. Or no, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I think the Resident Evils were still over the
Yeah,
shoulder.
yeah,
Just
they were. I'm thinking. I can't.
7 was first person.
Yeah, there was
Right.
some game I played recently that did that. I can't remember what it was.
I do
It,
remember Resident Evil 3 when it opened. The opening of the game has you in first person as I guess it's is it Jill, um, and then it switches to third person within like 5 or 10 minutes. But I know some other games did that successfully. I can't remember what they are though.
could be done right. It could end up being a great game. Like it could be the first Indiana Jones thing that I truly love. But
I hope it is, and for me the biggest thing is all these games are going to be on Game Pass, so I can
that's a win.
it's a cheap entry level. So
Hmm.
so if they're bad, I don't have to keep playing. Don't feel like I lost money. But
Hmm.
hopefully they're good. Hopefully they're good because I mean I was excited for just about everything they showed off. Um, I haven't played as much of the Mana series, but the game looked really good. What they showed today.
Did they show that in the showcase?
Yeah, it was Visions of
Visions of
Mana.
Huh.
Mana.
Oh, okay.
It was like
Gotta check that out.
a surprise Square Enix show up where they revealed that. Um, you can like train. It seems like you can like collect and train beasts or something. It's got something where like it's got that like Pokemon aspect to it almost. Uh, I've always like been adjacent from the Mana games. Like I've always wanted to play them. They look right up the alley of games that I would love, but I've just never had time for them.
Yeah.
Um, like that and like I've experienced it like or like Legends of Dragoon kind of reminds me of like the
Mm.
just almost Final Fantasy esque other like JRPGs like that. I always wanted to play those games, just haven't. And since I've gotten my Switch, they're on my wish list. I want to check out Trials of Mana at least, but um yeah, I wasn't super hyped up on it. It just seemed like okay, another one of those, an actual new one rather than a port.
No, that's cool. I'm always interested to see what Square Enix does. I didn't realize they showed that today, but I don't know. There's just so many games now that it's like realistically, I'd be like, yeah, I want to play that, but I'm like, where's that gonna rank on the list of what I actually
Well,
buy.
not only so many games, but like I mean, I hardly ever run into any that are just bad for the most part.
You
Yeah,
talking
that's
about like
fair.
AAA releases or like just between anything?
I mean, pretty much anything that
That you play, right?
I've been interested in. Like
Hmm.
the only thing is issues I've really ran into, like especially trying to go through like a backlog of games, is just playing something that doesn't catch my attention. Like the systems and the gameplay might be good. It's just something that didn't catch my attention, or like there's might be like a lot of wasted time in my opinion. Like um, I guess about I, I guess 2 years or so ago when I really started getting into like tracking my tracking my backlog. The only like I had to really get to a point where like if I wasn't having fun with something, I'd just move on. Like I wasn't going to force myself to make it through something just because I wanted to put it on a list. But the only things I've really ran into are something like Rage 2. I
Mm.
tried to play that. Gameplay's really fun, but there was nothing about it that kept me hooked. Um, Stuff like I really love Far Cry 3, but everything after Far Cry 3, like play the first half of it and then not finish it, and then up until this last one, I haven't played it at all.
Far Cry 3 was so good.
Yeah,
Like so good.
as
Man,
What
far
was
as
the last like super bad game? Like where
oh,
what was the last game where you're like, okay, this is terrible?
I love this question. Y'all, I need to think about this though. I need to think about this carefully because I don't want to get attacked. Because I got one game in mind
I,
that y'all are big fans
I'm
of.
gonna go
That
ahead
I
and probably. Oh no, I
don't
want to
guess.
know.
no,
Don't
I'm
guess.
not.
Don't.
Yo, yeah, dude. Hey, I
I'm
want you to
I'll
go
tell you
in
what it
on it.
is.
I
I'll tell you
want you
what
to
it
go
is.
all the way in on it.
No, because
Don't
no,
hold back.
I know what it
I'll,
is too,
But
but
hold on. I'll go
yeah,
ahead
okay.
and the elephant, I think for me is the easiest one to call out and be like so much hype and so much letdown. Anthem. For me, that I think
Oh,
Anthem was the last truly bad game that I was
oh,
like,
that's a whole different stratosphere of bad. We haven't had a
and if
bad
if
game like
they had,
that in years.
I would say No Man's Sky if No Man's Sky hasn't apparently righted the wrongs or whatever they've done over the years. I don't know personally, but I've more people defend that game nowadays whenever I bitch about it, so I'm not gonna bitch about it. But that game let me down hardcore too. Um, but Anthem for me is the man. What a missed opportunity. Like such fluid gameplay, just not enough of it.
Dude, they
Like
literally
three
built
missions.
man that game though that changed how I look at any video game preview forever. I was like,
Yeah.
they literally showed they built a game that was awesome, and they showed it. They showed it for like months, if not years, and then they're like, oh no, like little problem, consoles can't run it, and like that was kind of fake what we showed. We just kind of barely got it to run. Like, oh, okay, well we'll just build a different game without any of that in it. And it's like, you don't think people will be disappointed?
And
I
not
would still be
tell them.
disappointed, but it'll be too late. And I was like, there's no way this can be bad. Like they've shown the gameplay. So to this day, like I could see the most amazing gameplay trailer, and I'm just like, we might not get that game. Like I just can't. You can't be sure
Mhm.
until like the reviews are out. Um. So anyway, yeah, it's like traumatic levels of bad, um, in my opinion. But man, I can't top that. That's for sure.
the only one I played recently, and I'm glad I didn't buy it. I just played the demo, and that was Forspoken. And
Mm.
mostly all that just came down to like bad dialogue and stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
The gameplay wasn't bad, but it also felt like everything else that I've played. Like it's trying to copy too many different things. But I'm
Yeah,
really
I like. Go ahead. Sorry.
now you go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, Forspoken. Like, I paid full price for that and played the demo and really enjoyed it. And I still haven't finished it, but like, everything I've seen online is like, hey, just power through all the main story missions, get all the abilities, and then you go and explore the world and do that. And they're actually right. It's just still frustrating because like you're like, okay, so I can't like enjoy the actual campaign of this. I can just kind of enjoy bouncing around in a sandbox with all these cool powers. And that's like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. So yeah, it just doesn't. It was poorly executed from like an actual story and mission perspective. And the world, dude, is huge in it, but it's the same stuff over and over again. But I think it's one that like I'll come back to. But I'm sorry, what were you gonna say, Brandon? Before I interrupted you.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm really interested in hearing what you had to say.
Okay, like all right, so it's not it's not one of the worst games I've ever played or anything, but like I was incredibly disappointed with Jedi Survivor when it came out. And like I've actually spent a lot of time thinking about this because you guys weren't. And I'm playing the game now, like what is it, like 8 months later or more? And I got on the fucking ship and what's Grease was T posing in the front of the ship, and I'm just like
I
like the
never saw a
point you
single
make.
one of those.
Yeah, you know
I'm
Maybe it's
what?
the PlayStation, dude.
I never
Maybe
had a
it's my taste.
single I never had
You
a
know what?
single
It's
issue.
probably those. It's probably those like those rose tinted bifocals that apparently y'all wore through the whole thing. I had screen tearing, the game's crashing, the people are T posing in the cutscenes, and then like the way Cal is animated, and there's not a person who I've pointed this out to when Cal is running. It's just the goofiest, weirdest, like momentum based animation. But anyway, I'm not saying so. I actually really enjoy the game, especially after the patches. So I don't think it's the worst. I don't think it's a bad game, but I do think that they rushed it. They didn't give it the quality it deserved, and they still haven't finished it. And it pisses me off that they charge full price for it. And there's like huge issues with like the performance and the bugs and stuff like that. So that stuff pisses me off. But it's not a bad game, but it's the first thing that came to mind to where I was like, yeah, I really wish I hadn't have paid full price for that. And I think they kind of screwed players with how the game ran and everything. But that's
I
just my
get that
take
because
on it.
it it hurts me that I can't like go through the like 100% it because all the I think I've talked to you guys about it before, but
Yeah.
there's collectibles that are glitched to the fucking floor that I can't collect,
Hmm.
and if they've patched it, I would have to start a whole new save and beat the game again in order to like get shit. And then at that point, if I restart the game, I'm probably gonna see T poses everywhere, and that doesn't sound fun at all. Like
Yeah.
I I didn't I don't think I've ever seen a single T pose in a game, but I love whenever like you telling me that that's like that you're just seeing that shit in cutscenes.
I mean,
Like
it's
I
Star
remember I
Wars. It's
had
the
issues
biggest.
with the first game, Jedi Fallen Order. The
Yeah. Yeah.
audio in that game in cutscenes would be terrible, or like a NPC just like comes walking through, or like just literally one time, uh, I was on Kashyyyk and it was in this one of the scenes with Saw Gerrera, and stormtroopers were literally just like floating around and shit, like just dumb shit, like all kinds of crazy shit would happen in cutscenes. Just things were not how they were supposed to be. But for me with Jedi Survivor, it is the rose tinted glasses where like I was such a lore junkie that I didn't give a fuck what went wrong in that game. Like I cheesed the fuck out of. I've got clips I should show you guys of me cheesing the Rancors. Oh my god!
Oh
Like
man, I bet
and
it's hilarious.
playing on the hardest playing on the hardest difficulty and cheesing the Rancors just like by throwing something across the room and they're just standing there, and I would just throw this thing over and over and over and just like inch down the health. Like there's no shame in my game. I was just trying to get through, just get to that next cutscene or get to that next like echo. I had a lot of fun just exploring in that game.
That makes me think. Have y'all had like a just like a really funny glitch you remember? And the reason I ask is like it's not a glitch, but like it's like the thing like I told y'all I got the PlayStation VR, and it's like both like the most immersive thing ever and then the least immersive. And so like the kids will joke because they watched me try to play Resident Evil Village on it, dude. And like it's literally got you putting the bullet into the rifle with one hand and then pulling the I don't know anything about guns, but pulling the thing that loads the bullet. And when you do it, it's so funny because you're trying to like the gun is just like spazzing out. So like when you're reloading, like your hand's coming over here, like you're pushing the bullet in, like you totally look like you're
Yeah.
suffering from cerebral palsy. And um, and then you're holding a sniper rifle with one hand and like aiming it up against like the bumper of it. But like that stuff's hilarious. That I remember Roach, the horse in The Witcher, would just do the funniest things in the world. Brandy, my wife, would play that, and it would just be doing like handstands and stuff with some of these glitches and stuff. That stuff's priceless. But like when I'm trying to play by myself and be immersed and just for me, the glitches drive me crazy if I see something like that. Like if it happens continually, it just drives me nuts. So yeah, but no, worst. Oh, sorry, back to worst game ever. Anthem. Yeah, Anthem amazes me like how much they put in more work to sell a bad game than they did if they had just made a good game. Like it blew my mind. I was like, they literally put up like props almost. Like
Yeah.
this is how our game's gonna work, and then it just
It was a
didn't.
marketing scheme, bro. They were like, we're just gonna get all this money, and then, you guys are gonna go do other things.
Yeah,
Truth is,
you're just
I wonder what companies took those people whenever, like, the whole Anthem, the floor fell out from the developers. Like, I bet anybody that worked on that game, it's just like, a shit stain on their fucking resume. Or the, oh, you worked on that one? Bummer, right? Pissed off a lot of people, huh?
Yeah,
that's the thing too, though. I think is a lot of the industry also knows. I thought about that for a while, but then I was like, industry also knows that EA bought them, and they went from Bioware went from being the best, one of the best studios in the world, to just
Respected.
respected, state of the art, amazing experiences,
Hmm.
and they just murdered them. It's like everyone they buy, they got it down to a
Maybe
science.
they did it
They're
on
like, we're gonna
purpose.
buy them and we're gonna run them into the ground.
Hell
Like
yeah.
and we're gonna break their spirits. They're gonna quit. They won't be able to get a job anywhere because all these bad decisions and pressure we put on them and stuff. Man, EA just I think they've honestly gotten better, but
Was
I
EA, or
think
was that
also
post Battlefront 2? Did Battlefront 2 happen before Anthem?
it was around the same time.
yeah.
I
I
don't
can't
know
remember
though.
Because they
which was
were
first,
already
but it was.
hurting. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know if you
remember
remember that
Battlefront.
whole
I
debacle,
do.
but
Disney called them and said, "How long does it take to play as Darth Vader?" Yeah, I remember. I remember hearing about that, but then they fixed it or whatever.
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
But
I didn't touch it.
So
I played that game.
another,
I liked it a lot.
yeah, another game I was going to bring up, and it, it's kind of along that same vein, but I think because of the executive decisions behind the scenes, kind of forced their hand. But was the Avengers game that,
Oh God, I can't believe I forgot about that.
like, the game
Keep going.
itself was good. Like for the most part, the game was good, but
Hmm.
this was like fresh off of the release of Destiny 2, and like
Mm,
they tried so much to make that a live service game, and it kind of ruined Crystal Dynamics because
yeah,
they made great Tomb Raider games, so it's like
yeah,
of course they can make a good Avengers game, but yeah, they were forced to do a live action game, and to the point where I think the servers shut down not too long ago, and they ended up giving all the cosmetic items for free that were in the item shop. Like they gave them away for free. So I was kind of waiting until they did that before actually completing the game. So I'll go back and play it, but it's definitely one of those where a lot of the executive decisions ruin the reputation of that one. But
yeah.
I'm surprised you brought up Star Wars because I don't know. I don't want to dismiss anybody else's experience, but like I never saw any of that, so I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know what went right for me, but I mean I love that game. Um,
Yeah, see, that's what's so weird about it is like I got a lot of respect for you guys. Like I agree with like 99% of y'all's opinions, but when y'all tell me that y'all didn't see anything fishy in Star Wars, I'm just like maybe something is wrong. Something's either wrong with them or wrong with me for seeing the issues in that game. Um,
You
and I'll
seem
die
like the
on
kind
that
of, you're
hill.
kind of like, you see like a freckle of frame rate though, and you're like, this game's garbage. Like, what the
Well,
fuck was that?
that's not necessarily true, but I will say that I do notice that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just like, the lightsaber like not turning off in the cutscenes and stuff like that. Maybe you're right. Maybe something is wrong with my PlayStation. Because I'm kind of jealous. I feel like you guys played a version of the game that I didn't get. So anyway, maybe, whatever.
But to
But
go off that,
you
you
hey,
said
you bought yours too early, so like you got like the
maybe
demo version that was still kind of broken.
yeah, it seems like that's the case.
that might be it because I don't know that I played it in the first month or so that it was out. I think I took time
I
to
played
buy
it
it.
on release day, but I was making a joke
And
because
it
I
was
remember Nick
perfect.
asking me like 2 months before it came out if I pre-ordered it, and I was like, nah, I'll get it
Yeah, I
whenever
think
it's
I think you
with
actually
my luck, I would pre-order it like that, and then they would fucking push it back again.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think you
And
actually
not give you the
streamed it
money.
the day it was out, didn't you? That Thursday.
yeah, dude. I tried to. I think definitely remember at least streaming the fucking Darth Vader fight because that was that was bullshit. That put me through so much fucking hell. I was having to stream it to show Noah what I was going through because I was in a party with him, and that yeah, I've got a whole spiel about that part of the game, but like that uh there was just some of those fights that like someone else had to see you suffer to help you get through it, because it Darth Vader put me through some fucking shit, but he was the hardest part of that game, I think, for me, and other people didn't even struggle with him. And I mean, playing on Jedi Master, he did not fuck around, and he would just fucking he would shut you down in 2 hits, and you had to learn his entire pattern. And then I think I fought him for 2 hours before something in my head was like, Seer's not gonna make it through this. Like I realized what was about to happen, and then I beat it. When I realized it, I beat it, and was like, oh,
Yeah, so
like,
it's now
so
all
like
of
the
that
whole
for
time I'm
nothing.
not thinking about what's gonna happen here. I was just trying to fucking beat him. But what happens when you beat Darth Vader? Wait a minute,
See,
you
see,
don't.
that's what I'm talking about. That's actually a glitch. She actually supposed to beat him, but
But no,
Yeah,
I circled back around to Star Wars because I did want to acknowledge that I mentioned I knew what you were going to bring up, and I was totally
mm,
wrong because I thought and this is probably something that at least Barrett and I know we could make a whole episode out of. But I thought you were going to say Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
I
no,
did
I
too.
didn't touch
I thought he was
those.
gonna say that.
I didn't play them. I want to.
I've and also I was like, he probably didn't even have to play them to know that they were bad. He was just like, yeah, those are nah.
I mean, y'all talked to them when y'all said, listen, when y'all said that they were bad, and they're like, yeah, it's not great, and like knowing how big of fans y'all are of Pokemon, I was like, no, that's enough for me. Like, I'm trying to come off my medication and stuff. Like, I can't do Pokemon right now. Like reading online, like trying to find a glimmer of hope. How's Pokemon in 2024? Everyone's like, it's still. I'm like, no, it's just not. It's just signing me up for a bag of
Yeah,
anxiety that
they're,
I don't need in my life.
they're about 15 years behind where they probably should be at this point. But
Yeah,
like
I
you
mean, if
talked about,
they had the same, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Dude,
I was just gonna say you if you mention us having rose-colored glasses for Star Wars, like I've probably play Pokemon due to Stockholm syndrome at this point. Like I love everything about it, but but at least for like
that's
the
fair.
last 10 years, like the games have been shit for the most part. In in relation to how much money they make, like it's the top grossing franchise of anything, and the fact
Yeah.
that they can't put out a better game than that is laughable. Like they're still making games as if they're still an indie developer, and with all the money they bring in.
What do you guys
Brandon, you
think of
made
those?
that
Like,
point to me the first
oh, go
time,
ahead.
and that it's just like it hurts, but it's like something that's like a truth I just need to accept because I've fallen away from Pokemon games, but like I want to be as involved with all of it as possible, but like you said, it's like you feel like you're playing it just because like you know I've played all these. Like I have to play them. Like I can't just like stop. And
Well,
yeah, I've struggled since. I mean, definitely since Scarlet and Violet, but I mean, since the ones on the Switch where I had expectations, they should have been like. I mean, Arceus was great.
yes.
Like
Like
that was cool.
that's
If they would have kept going and done doing stuff, it would have been great. But it sucks that you're thinking about it from like they are the most profitable fucking company with all the avenues of Pokemon shit. They should definitely pump more money into their games. And if it performed anything like Nintendo's top games did, Super Mario Wonder and Tears of the Kingdom, and they had like that level of,
Hmm.
they would be a lot better. But it's crazy that they don't put that much attention to them. And maybe it's because Game Freak is just like, no, we got this, and we've been doing this for years. We don't need your help. Seems like that something like that could be, I don't know, because they have had the reins the whole time on all those games.
yeah. I'll say that like Legends Arceus was great, and that felt like a love bombing game though, where it's like, see,
Mm.
we'll give you a little bit. See, we still love you. We'll make the games you want, and then it's like,
They didn't even make it though. That's the
no,
funny part.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Game Freak didn't make it.
Yeah, I think he's right.
And that's what
Maybe.
makes it even sadder
I
though, because
know
they,
I know they didn't do the remaster for Diamond and Pearl.
yeah, I don't
Oh
remember
yeah,
much
developed by
about
Game
those.
Freak.
Really? Arceus was
Yeah.
developed by Game Freak. I thought it was Bandai Namco did it. Huh.
No, no,
Well, I'm wrong.
they did the Pearl and Diamond and Pearl remasters.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
It was
That's
like the company
strange.
that did the Legend of Zelda remaster, Link's Awakening. I think it was them that did that company made or worked on um, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl.
But you're saying Game Freak didn't make Legends Arceus?
No, they did.
They did
Or
make
they
Legends
did? You're saying they
Arceus.
did make Arceus? Huh. That's weird. I wonder what I looked at. Well, that's even stranger then, isn't it?
Yeah, because well, I think they might have had a separate team working on both games because they were being
Hmm.
developed side by side. I think because it was
Yeah.
I think it was one of those situations where they were making them side by side, but they were so far in development on Scarlet and Violet that a lot of the features that were being implemented in Arceus wasn't carried over yet.
Ilka.
Ilka.
Ilka is who developed Shining Shining Pearl, Brilliant Diamond. What did they do?
Um, what would you
Sorry.
guys think though if no, you're good. I was gonna while you were looking at that, I was gonna say I think it'd be cool if they did like maybe it's just nostalgia, but I love the older Pokemon games that are all pixelated. I think it'd be cool if they did like a still made them pixelated for goodness sake. I mean, but did like a whole lot
Yeah.
more detail and sprites and stuff like that. I don't think that would ever happen now that they've gone the 3D route, but that would be so awesome if the next one was kind of a return to form because you could do a massive Pokemon game, but with all the sprite art. I mean, with all the
Well,
indie games that have been made.
I was actually thinking earlier today. I haven't played any of these games yet. They're definitely on my list, but um, I know Square has been doing a lot with Octopath Traveler, um,
Hmm.
Live Alive. What was the other one? I think Triangle Strategy, where it's like they're like 2D HD.
Yeah,
I would like to see a Pokemon game done in that style.
that'd be cool.
Cause
I
that's
think.
the one
Ilka.
comparison I make is I'll see other like JRPGs and stuff, or even something like Zelda, where I see those games and I instantly go, why can't the Pokemon game perform like this? Like that's my immediate thought when I'm playing games. Like earlier today, I tried out that demo you suggested for Grand Blue, and like I enjoyed it, but like one of my first thoughts was like just based on the art direction and everything, I'm like, Why couldn't Pokemon perform this well?
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be awesome. It would be perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think their games will get better though. They did get Game Freak got a heat of a lot of heat for the most recent games on Switch I saw, and they people were really honest about the performance. So I mean, I hope they throw some money at it, get some additional developers with some good expertise, and then also well, hopefully with the Switch too, there's a little bit more leg room um
Maybe that's what they
with
need.
what they yeah
I
with what they can develop.
I hope you're right, but I've had the same conversation like right after Sword and Shield came out,
Yeah.
and Scarlet Violet is
Yeah.
just barely a baby step past what that game was. It's like these. It's that's what it feels like mostly. It's like little small baby steps of like progression. It's like because they're not necessarily step back or worse games necessarily, but it's just they're so slow on implementing the technology available. It seems like.
But speaking of that, you guys looks like we're probably gonna get the Switch 2 this year. How do y'all feel about that?
I'd like to see the specs. I'm not.
Yeah.
I already know what's. I mean, I haven't owned one, but I know well, I know what the Steam decks are capable of. So there there's already a bar there of where people are going to expect them to be. So I'm just curious what they're going to be able to do spec wise, and it's Nintendo. They've got to throw some kind of gimmick in there. So
Yeah.
what's the gimmick going to be this time?
What's yeah, what's the new idea? What's the new weird thing? What's the evolution of the Nintendo controller? Like where are we going,
Mm.
you know? Where are we going?
What's best
There's an
case
old
scenario?
meme of that I love whenever it goes from like the Nintendo 6 or the Nintendo 64 to the Wii. It's just like, what?
Because my feeling it's just going to be like a pro model of what we already got.
Well,
Mm.
that's
I
not
don't
very innovative.
It's
I
weird
don't
that
think
they would
so, but
call Switch 2 a Pro. It's
yeah.
also rumor though, so the Switch 2 could be this like community name like the Nintendo Revolution, but really they're putting out the Switch Pro. And it's just a better processor, and it can compete at least with the Portal as far as like just maintaining a frame rate, you know, and just being a stronger system. But it would be silly to make a better spec Switch and call it a Switch 2. I think that's dumb. That would be a mistake.
You think so? Like calling it just in the naming alone, you think would be a mistake?
I think
I
so.
think it could have a cooler name than the Switch 2. If they're gonna call it Switch 2, then I mean, there's no sequel console, right? Each console had its own name. Even the Game Boys. You got the Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP. Like they had something like that. Switch, giving it a
Oh,
sequel
I
name, I don't
got
think
you.
they'll do that. So, but
Yeah.
if they're gonna, if it that, but if it's gonna be a pro model and it's gonna have like be souped up, I don't think. I think they'll just call it the like Switch Pro, You know, we're just
No, I agree
the
with you.
the placeholder name is Switch 2 right now, but hopefully they don't make a sequel console that is just oh, this one actually does what the first one should have done, you know,
Yeah.
without giving it a gimmick, like Brandon said.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we know what the Steam Deck's capable of. I think that's kind of the bar for the most point because
If it
for
can cast to a smart TV rather than using a dock, that
maybe
would be dope.
Probably
yeah.
be a cloud streaming device, like a portal, like a like, like a gateway. Uh, all internet always required 5G. Now, I hope they don't do that. I really do.
If Nintendo did that, I might be a little concerned just because of how they already implement a lot of the
Yeah.
community aspects, online play and stuff like that. But but yeah, I mean, for the type of first party games that Nintendo makes, I'm not sure that they need anything above what the Steam Deck can do. So I just immediately think that that's the bar, or at least the bare minimum. And then they're going to try to add some gimmick to it. And I mean, for the most part, Nintendo usually gets that right. It's just a matter of how long it'll last and is it just a fad. But
Mhm.
Do you have any ideas of what you think the gimmick will be?
I didn't get to use it a lot, but I would like to see them capitalize on what the Labo did and making, I guess, not necessarily virtual reality, but I mean, I think there's a lot they can do with the way they utilize the Joy Cons and stuff. So I guess just going farther on that utilization.
Motion and maybe being able to mount it on your face somehow.
Well, I mean, I mean, the Wii,
Yeah.
that was their gimmick with the Wii was
Mhm.
all the motion stuff, and they kind
And
of,
they've been using more and more of that.
It's
yes and
better
no.
than it ever has been in the past.
I think they scaled back on like the different things they used it for. But yeah, I would like to see it go more in that
Yeah.
direction.
Well, there's not as much plastic junk now laying around
No.
for the Switch. It's like controller holders that you can get a fishing pole or a
Yeah.
bow and arrow or a gun. Or
Yeah, I don't know. I hope honestly it's just a more powerful Nintendo device. I don't care about any of the gimmicks or motion controls. I just want to play. I mean, honestly, admit, let me know if I'm crazy for thinking this, but I wish Nintendo would just say screw it to making consoles, period. And I wish I could just play Legend of Zelda on my PlayStation 5, dude. Like I think about that
yeah,
all the time. Like I'm like, man, how cool would it be to have that on my PlayStation menu? They'll never do it, right? Like I know, but um, sometimes I get the Switch out and I'm just like, God, this is like taking forever to load. It doesn't, it could look better and stuff. So, honestly,
there should
I
be an
think
app.
Switch 2.
There should be an app on my PlayStation where it can
Yeah,
be
dude.
ran better.
Yeah, man,
Let the
exactly.
PlayStation do the work and Nintendo get the subscription, you know?
Yeah, I wish it was like that. I kind of wish it was all like that, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. I think
I
it'll
feel
be
like
pretty awesome. I mean, I heard about like, I mean, it's all rumors right now, but like the new Mario, they're saying is going to be like 4 times bigger than Mario Odyssey. Like just the idea of it looking like the Mario movie and like this big open platforming world sounds amazing. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get it. At the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't, you know? Because how many times has it been like with Nintendo where you're like, oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be this. And then, like we got like Skyward Sword. Like I don't think anyone was expecting that. Looking back, I love Skyward Sword, but I think we were
yeah.
all expecting like Breath of the Wild or something, and
Mhm.
we got Skyward Sword. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
How crazy would it be if okay, here's my idea for the Switch Pro.
All right,
The Switch SP, okay?
nice. I love
It it's gonna be a clamshell with two like full grip controllers,
Okay,
split on the side, and it's gonna be a
okay.
clamshell with dual screens and a good controller grip on the edges. And it's gonna be big
You're
enough to be like super powerful with it. We're going back to two screens. I feel like that would hurt you a little bit. You're like, please God, no. Like this
you
one,
know,
and the gimmick is it doesn't need a case. It is its own case.
is it made of Kevlar? Like
Yeah,
I've never bought
yeah, it's
anything.
made out
I've
of
never bought
Kevlar.
anything
Yeah,
that did need a case.
you
Oh
just
hell, if it's made out of
you can strap a little handle to the top, like one of those fucking paracord handles to it.
I wish we had made this a topic, like the worst possible hot take for what the Switch 2 will be. Okay, I'll make up one. I think it should be no buttons, all motion controls. you know, and like a
Yeah.
ball that you hold, and like you just kind of look into it, and
Mm.
it's like you're playing. It's
Shake
all
it like an
gesture
eight ball.
based. Yeah, yeah, and like, but if you want to, you can use it like a ball too, right? And
Yeah,
so like it keep track of like all these real life ball games you can play with it, and yeah, I think that would be cool.
it's the games
Yeah, I
sphere.
Oh,
could
like
see
a
him doing
video
that.
game of like and it's a ball. You could throw it between people, and they would
Yeah,
have games that
yeah, like
like you
everyone
could
could
play
put their
like
tongue on
PvP
it.
with it.
Yeah, like everyone could like put their tongue on it at the same time. There's like mini games where everybody like licks it, and it's like a jawbreaker, and it's changing color. Like you could do that. You could,
Think of the Super Mario or the Mario Party mini games that you could play on it, bro.
yeah, none of them would work. You're right. They'd have to make brand new games. You could, yeah, you should. No, no, no. You actually, no, I was wrong. You could do like Mario Galaxy, where he like walks on the ball and he has the balance on it, and you go down the course. You could totally do that in real life with that kind of technology. Yeah, that's what I think it'll be.
Hey, what kind of real gimmick do you think though? Can you come up with like a real gimmick that they could do with the Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever the fuck they want to call it that's gonna make it like okay, I really need to upgrade not only so it plays these games that I love like well, but like it's got a new thing to it.
Uh, Seriously, I think the gimmick is going to be more of what the first Switch tried to do. They're just going to find ways to like make it more expensive. So I think this. I think they're going to have like a portable version, okay, that's all handheld. And then, but there's also the home version, which is like, twice, three times more powerful for the people who just want like all the graphics. And you can buy a bundle with like both of them in there, and you just set your Switch on it, it syncs the save, and then you're playing up on the screen. And the whole thing will cost like $500 if you do it that way. But for people who just want to do handheld, they can do that, and it's still more powerful than the last Switch. The battery is still longer, but it's not like up to snuff with
4K.
yeah, it's not up to stuff with 4K, and like it'll be multiple devices syncing together because I feel like they kind of did that. Like if you look at what happened with the Switch, first there was a Switch, just a Switch, right? And you hooked it up to your TV, and you could pick it up and take it with you, and that was the idea. But then Nintendo they released the Switch Lite, and I remember there was interviews with them, and they said the reason they released the Switch Lite was they found that more people were playing on the go. So they were like, this is supposed to be an accompaniment to the Switch. This isn't supposed to replace it. This is for people who play on the go a lot. It's got a little bit longer battery. It's smaller. All these different things. The controllers were built into it, so there wasn't any lag with that. So they built it. So it's almost like they did the reverse of what I just said, right? First they released it one way, then they were like, hey, we'll have these multiple versions, and then it's like the OLED comes out and it's kind of the best of both worlds, but it costs $350. Um, so I think that they'll try to capitalize on the fact that some players only play handheld mode, okay? And then some players want to play handheld mode, but they also want to play on their screen, but they don't want to lose out on all those third-party games like Resident Evil Village and Tomb Raider and all that stuff that Nintendo isn't getting ported over. So I think they'll try to kill like two birds with one stone. That's just my theory. Like, but they'll probably do something a lot crazier. I think that's probably what I'd like to see. And knowing Nintendo with like how many different options they'll release, like okay, just with the Switch, they had the Pro controller, they had the Joy Cons, they had like wheels day one, you could slide the Joy Cons onto all this different stuff. So I just see them releasing something that's got like three different bundle options that could cost you $600-700. So yeah, that's
I would
my
like it'd be nice if they would make a dockable or like make it to where the handheld version could still be played on the TV. If you wanted to lay it on a surface or whatever and it would like a different shape of dock that would allow any version of the Switch to be played on the TV, and like maybe the dock, like the fully handheld version, you just use a Pro controller. You know,
I'll say this
instead of
because,
making it limiting to nothing. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah.
well, I was
No,
just
you're
gonna
good.
say like I was really disappointed with the light, like because in one sense like it's obviously like the worst version in the sense of the screen's smaller. I don't. It's came out right before the OLED, so like the screen's not as good as the OLED. But the way that the controllers are actually attached, like it's all one piece, it feels better. Like it's sturdier.
Hmm. Yep.
So as far as actually
Hopefully, it's
play,
gonna break.
so actually playing handheld, I like the Lite better. But like I
Yeah.
said,
Agreed.
it doesn't have the hardware that the specs that the OLED does. That's my biggest complaint. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I, I I can see where you're going with that, Nick. And I would with Nintendo, I wouldn't be surprised. Um, the one thing I'm interested in, and it'll probably be implemented wrong based on the way Nintendo's handled things, but there's been a lot of rumor on how Xbox is going to branch out with Game Pass, and that would
Hmm.
be the one way that the Switch could kind of bring those third party games in. And the Nintendo problem of it is they'll probably all be cloud. And
You're right.
so I think that would be the best route. I just don't think it would be implemented properly. Is getting some kind of service, whether it's I'd say Game Pass more than anything, because I mean back in probably in high school when I was really invested in the console war stuff, like similar thought to what you had, Nick, was even back then I was like, man, this was before the Switch, and I think right before the Xbox One came out. It may have been a little afterwards, but I had that thought. It's like, well, I don't know what Nintendo's going to do next. Like, you know, the Wii and the Wii U were too much of a gimmick at the very end of the cycle, anyways. And I was like, well, they've got the handheld market cornered. Like the 3DS
Hmm.
is, I mean, one of the best consoles they've made at this point. So I was thinking, I was like, when I was really like in the trenches of the console war, I was like, that would be the one thing that'd be interesting is if Nintendo kind of partnered with Xbox, and it's like, you know, and it didn't really have to be them, and it could have went one way, but I think especially right after the Xbox One, like the launch of that, like obviously we've seen through the sales since then that Sony's been ahead in most categories. And I was like, that's the one way. Like, if they could get Nintendo to still make the games they make, but and not necessarily for Microsoft to own them, but at least have the rights to bring them in third party. I was like, that'd been the best of both worlds, where we still got the great games that they make, but alongside within the ecosystem that we've already got with the two consoles.
So basically, we need Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo to just go full app with, the collections of games, and them to be partner up enough to where like a collection of games are available on all consoles if you have a subscription to them.
I mean,
Yeah. Like,
I
go
see
ahead.
I see more companies kind of going that route. I think I read an article recently where I think an executive from Ubisoft actually mentioned something along those lines where they had a lot of subscribers to Ubisoft Plus,
Yeah,
and
like EA Play,
and it
all
was
those
like
companies can
it's
take
like
advantage of that.
he even said, I don't necessarily know that it was his opinion, but he's like, if this is going to work, we've got to get people comfortable getting rid of the physical aspect. And we've already seen that with the way a lot of people handle TV and movies, where there are still people that collect DVDs and Blu-rays, but that's by no means the number one source anymore. Like a lot of it is streaming, and in my opinion, streaming went maybe a little too far because now there's too many options
Mm.
in one vein. But I think games could go that way and still. I think the best way would still be to release all your new games like standalone or something. But like a lot of these older games that people aren't buying as much as a single entity, to include them in some kind of subscription service. I mean,
Yeah,
we
it'd be
do it
great.
with just about every other form of media, whether it's, I mean, Audible with books, Spotify with music. I mean, there's obviously different services, but I think I think Game Pass obviously kickstarted all that, but I think we're headed towards more of that.
I mean, if you look at what PC is doing right now, it's kind of already that's kind of what PC is, right? Like PlayStation's releasing a lot of their games. Microsoft, of course, got anything they own trying to get it released on PC as well. Nintendo's obviously not on that wagon. They're going kind of quite the opposite. But like just an example of like PlayStation and stuff is like ultimately what people want is just to be able to play whatever game they want with whatever controller you want. Like that's really the difference at the end of the day
Yeah.
is the controller. Like me personally, I
Yeah.
want to use my PlayStation 5 controller, right? But and I like, the OS and stuff of PlayStation, but ideally, yeah, you'd have it all on one machine. And what's really interesting too, like the one thing I don't understand is like the video game companies and the console makers, they don't make money off the consoles, right? Like they sell
Uh,
them for a loss.
yeah,
So maybe they
Microsoft's very
cost,
open about that.
yeah, because they make so much from the software, right? So they just need you to get the console in your house so you'll buy the games. And they make enough off the $60 game to where it makes up for any loss. But you'd think, okay, if that's true, which I believe it is, then you'd think that they'd be eager to get away from needing to sell their machines. And obviously Microsoft is. Like they're like, let's put Game Pass on everything. PC, phone, Nintendo Switch, Apple's store, all that. And I think it is now on Apple, I want to say, but I could be wrong. But yeah, it's just weird that like it doesn't make any financial sense for the all the video game companies to the console makers to try and have all this exclusivity. And eventually it won't make any sense at all, to your point, Brandon. So I don't know. That'd be ideal, but I think it's going to take a while to see more of that. Hopefully you're right, though. Hopefully they do it with the Switch 2 or whatever they call it, and it just starts making, you know, sense to not have all these, need three machines just to play the games you want to play, you know. At the same
They
time,
definitely,
streaming though, oh, you know.
they definitely, Nintendo just at least needs to build a console that can keep up with the big AAA games. That I mean, they'll have to like because it is a home to games like Mario that don't really need the power to do all that. But like, I mean, I don't know. I've always loved Nintendo. So I mean, I'll upgrade eventually if I don't right away. But it'll definitely have something that I want on it. But it does seem like they just need I don't know a little bit if it needs to be more powerful just to be able so they can build their own bigger AAA games. They can make a Zelda game that's like Elden Ring, that's just fucking huge and like with the extensive lore and all kinds of I mean not saying take away anything from Tears of the Kingdom, but like they could do more. Um but maybe Nintendo wants to keep it simple with
Yeah.
it's simple enough, I don't know. They're
Listen, honestly, all I want from Nintendo right now is them to put fucking GameCube games on the Switch. Like
yes.
they've ported a lot of stuff. I've
Where's
realized
Wind
now that
Waker?
like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Like,
Yeah, where are those? Like that's the ideal console. It seems like there's so many like they should pour their entire library
ev-
into the Switch.
yes,
Like
everything.
but Nintendo has this obsession with
Yeah.
the the street value of a lot of their stuff and they hold it to a high regard to where they think they're going to devalue themselves by making those things available and fresh, but really that's the great idea. What in my opinion, like the Switch is like the Wii and the Wii U prototype the Switch. Now you've got this
Yes.
perfect console
Yeah.
that can do all those everything before it. Like put it all there.
Yeah.
And if
100%.
there's
Preach.
a nostalgic console and they're doing it, I mean they're definitely buying into that with the virtual consoles and adding games to them here and there. I mean, but like I think for those big games like Wind Waker, dude, the
Mm.
Pokemon Coliseum, like Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon Gale of Darkness. I don't know if either of y'all played those. I like those a lot. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
they're like $200 if you can find a copy that's not scratched to hell. It's $250 to find one of those for the GameCube. And if your GameCube still works, if your AV cables can plug into anything you have, like, like those games aren't really playable anymore, but they've got a whole library of great games in their past that the Switch is the ideal console for.
I think for
Ideal.
me, that's been the biggest frustration with Nintendo. Not necessarily on the hardware side, but like the way they have implemented like those older catalogs in because we're seeing that some of those games come through their online service, but like I could in one way it's like just enough to string you along, I guess, because yeah, they do add some of these games, but okay, instead of just your one subscription covering all those, it's like, well, your initial subscription gets NES and SNES games. Well, if you want Nintendo 64, that's a separate pack you got to pay for. If you want
$25 more a year.
if you want Game Boy games, that's another or Sega Genesis,
Mm.
like that's another set. And I just have a feeling that like once we start getting some of those games, like even Pokemon, for instance, like there's no reason why every Pokemon game before now isn't on the
Dude,
Switch.
straight up.
But I know that they
Yeah.
would charge you for those individually somehow,
Yeah.
or it would be
Or they
like,
could have a
or it would
subscription like
it would be just
a
like,
virtual Pokemon thing.
yeah, I mean, like for Nintendo, it'd be like, well, they like I said, you've got your basic package, then you've got your N64 add-on. I'm sure they'd find a way where it's just like, okay, here's the Pokemon expansion pack
Yeah.
to
Add the
Nintendo
Game
Switch
Freak
Online.
collection to your
Yeah.
subscription for $20 more a year.
And then even like some of the games they have added, like you mentioned Coliseum, they added the first Coliseum game on there, but
No,
you can,
Stadium. That's Pokemon
oh
Stadium.
yeah
I'm
yeah
talking
yeah
about
yeah
GameCube had
yeah yeah
Coliseum and
yeah I
like
meant yeah I'm sorry about that. I meant Stadium, but and even with that
mm,
game, like you can't play it to its fullest extent. Like with that
yeah,
game, you had a party of Pokemon that you could
that you could
import
pull
in,
from your games.
but since you can't pull anything from those games in right now, like you're like limited to like a rent list of like Pokemon you
Hmm.
can use on each level. So so yeah, it's just a half approach to the way they implement some of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
think
game.
that's
Go ahead.
no. I'm gonna stop because I've got a lot to bitch about and I'm not gonna keep going. Go ahead.
It's just they're so inconsistent with how you get the games too. It's like they do an HD remaster of Mario Galaxy on the All Stars collection. It's available for like a month, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, that's how you get it. No, we're gonna take it off the digital shelf. It's like, why would you even
That.
do that? Um, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean,
And you know
trying
what
to like
happened? No one
what?
gave a fuck. No one really gave a fuck. And then now that it's gone, everyone that wants that game or wants to try and find it, it's like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. Like I can't find that. Whatever. Wish they
And
didn't
that
do that.
that's exactly the point I was about to make. Is like, okay, explaining to my kids why Wind Waker or Twilight Princess isn't on the Switch.
Mm.
Like,
But
there's
Skyward
no
Sword is.
way. But Skyward Sword is, and they're and trying to explain to them, but then they're like, well, my friend says you can play it on PC, and like, well, you can, but technically it's against the law. And they're like, why is it? Trying to explain it to a 12, 13 year old, if like, there's no way to make it make sense. At the end of the day, you just go, I don't know why Nintendo makes the decisions they make. And there's either like I torn between these two perspectives. Either one, they're just like smarter than everybody, and we just don't understand the business and how it works and how you should be playing this game. And they obviously have money. It's like, or they're just straight up freaking ignorant, and they like just being they come across like they just like being a pain in the ass about everything. Like
Yeah.
like like why is it take the Switch has been out what, 6 years? Why, to your point, why isn't every Pokemon game on the virtual console? Like people are begging to
Well,
throw money at you. Like what's the problem here?
there's
But yeah.
so many GameCube games.
Yeah.
Like that console deserves more love, more respect. And they've remade a few of them. Like they've brought over what Metroid Prime and Skyward
Yeah, that's just
Sword
like
and
what, just
Tales of
randomly. Yeah.
Symphonia. Very random, like here and there kind of things. Like I would have rather Metroid Prime come out with two Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, building up and three, or maybe a collection of all three, and then building up to. I would wait for that to come out for Metroid to hype me up for Metroid Prime 4 or something like. But they just there's no structure to how they're releasing things like that. But it doesn't seem like it would be that hard for them to just like you know port the game over, turn a few dials to fix a few things, make flesh it out and make it
Yeah.
digital only.
Yeah,
Even
it definitely does feel like it's just like an attempt to be a pain in the ass because I remember this was um back before the last like Pokemon Day. Like there was a Nintendo Direct and they mentioned that they were going to be I think the rumor was that they were adding Game Boy games to the online service and it was just like okay, right before Pokemon Day, this is the perfect time to add those games in and then the day comes and it's like Pokemon Stadium from 64 and then the trading card game from Game Boy. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, well maybe they're saving something bigger for Pokemon Day. Pokemon Day comes, nothing. Nothing said. And even since then, I mean it's been 7 or 8 months since then now to where it's like, okay, maybe they're just holding off until later. Maybe there's something coming, and it's just like radio silence for the most part. And it's like, and to your point, Nick, it's like I don't even understand the logic here for a lot of it because it can't be. I don't even think it's because they're greedy with money on to that extent because they're leaving money on the table. It's like there's people
That's
that would like just give you their life savings to do some of this stuff, and it's just like you're just holding back. And we've
like the
seen so many other places handle stuff like this to where it's like, well, we know you're holding back. Like there's nothing. There's no logical reason, at least that we've been given yet, why this hasn't happened. And we've seen other places do it, whether they're releasing newer, like all these games as a collection somewhere, or adding it to something like Game Pass. It's like, okay, we've seen it happen. So what's the reason you're not doing it? And it's just no. I don't think there's really been any explanation given.
yeah, it makes me mad just thinking about it, which is embarrassing. But like, it's just so alien. Like, you really feel like Nintendo is like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You're just like, what are they doing in there? Like I remember heard like 10 years ago, like when the Wii was, or 10, 15 years ago, the Wii was the best-selling console, like of all time at that point or something. And like somebody, it was back like when GameTrailers.com was a big website and checked G4 Tech TV was still a channel. You guys remember all that? And
back of the show.
yeah, yeah, dude. And somebody wrote in. I think it was like Michael Pachter was like answering a question or something, and they were like, is Nintendo going to go bankrupt if they don't start making games for the Wii? And like the guy's a financial analyst who was answering the question, and he's like, he just kind of laughed at it. He's like, they could lose like $30 million a year for the next 40 years until they go bankrupt. And I was like, that's how much the money Nintendo has. And I was like, and then you think about that, and then you just go, what are they doing? Like, are they like even if that's
It's a
like,
company
where
with
is it,
fuck you money.
dude? It's
They got
yeah, they have so much money that they could just be like, hey, we made
yeah,
the Switch 2, and we're just gonna throw them all in the garbage and not sell them, and then just be
yeah.
fine. Like, just move on. Like,
yeah.
oh, we made that new Pokemon game and it's perfect, but nah, we're just gonna scrap it. We're just gonna throw it in the
We're gonna
garbage.
sell
Like,
100 of them and put one in a museum, and that's all. That's gonna be all of them.
so you're right. There's no reconciling it in any type of conversation unless you're like in the room at Nintendo where they're having these conversations. I don't know. I feel like someone's in the room going like, "So do we want to put all those Game Boy Advance games on the Switch?" And they're just like, "No." And they're like, "Okay." And that's the end of the conversation. And then
Yeah,
someone else asks in 3 years, and someone's like, "Yeah, we could put a couple of those." And then they do, and
yeah.
it's like,
And just
yeah,
do
it's
like
just the
these three that
weirdest.
no one gives a
It's
fuck
just
about.
the
Like
weirdest shit. It's just the weirdest thing ever. Then Microsoft's over there and like, put it all on, get it everywhere. Patch it all. Brandon, you all right?
Yeah, I just fixing my lighting.
Okay. I was like, what the hell? I thought his roof caved in or
No,
something.
no, no.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
that's the part of Nintendo that just infuriates you. It's like, what's your favorite
They
movie?
can
Oh,
do
you
so
can't
much
watch
and they
that
never
anywhere.
will.
Yeah. Somebody
Yeah.
is your favorite movie, and they're like, yeah, there's nothing you can play that on. We only have it on VHS, and you sold that
Yeah,
years ago. So, sucks.
that's why I have no like you brought it up. That's why like I have no problem, selling the high seas on the PC when it comes to like playing any of these
Oh,
older
yeah.
games. I have no shame whatsoever.
I mean, the thing is, you get confronted, you can just be like, yeah, no, I tried to pay you for this, but,
Yeah, it's like I'd be
there's no
willing
way to
to.
do it. Yeah. Man,
And like you said, like that's the bigger issue too. Is like, okay, so the only way to get those games now is like second hand. So prices skyrocketed,
Collector prices.
and
Yeah,
even the games that are available on the Switch, it's like there's first party games that released with the console, 6 years ago, and you're lucky to find it $10 off now. Like
yeah.
there's no depreciation whatsoever, and it doesn't. I don't understand why because it based on the way other companies work and the way all these games like depreciate over time. Like logically, there's no reason why just Nintendo is maintain this strategy other than that's just who they are. I don't.
Yeah. At a certain point, you just kind of look at it and you go like, I just fundamentally must just not understand how this works because it's unfathomable how they manage all that, like everything we just talked about. You're just like, I just don't get it. Like, why wouldn't you do this? But there's no one to even ask. You know,
No,
you know what I
no.
mean? There's no person to represent and come out. Like you see all the Twitter accounts and stuff for Xbox and all this stuff. They're always posting stuff. They're always people replying with gifs. I don't know if you've looked, but like they'll reply to them. They'll at each other. These different game studios. Nintendo's over there and like, hey, in 3 months you can play this Game Boy Advance game. That's the first of three in a series, and you're like, 3 months? Like that's what
Yeah,
I had to look forward to from now. Meanwhile, like Xbox is just like, here's Indiana Jones, here's Senua's Sacrifice, and they're like state of the art, cutting edge type of graphics and stuff like that. So
and
yeah, it's
also the
just a
Switch
weird.
pumps out all these indie games that no one gives a fuck about. Like if you scroll through the store, it's like mind numbing. I mean, I'm sure it's great that it's a platform where you can have all that, but like it is so
Oh
like flooded with and games that shouldn't be on it. To be honest, for it to be a console that's geared towards younger people, like there's stuff on there that's like, really
yeah,
Nintendo? Like you're doing this and you're
yeah,
not remastering your fucking big hitters. You don't just drop the whole GBA Game Boy Color catalog at one fucking time and you're like, have fun. Fuck all those emulators you get it from us and it's legit. Like they they're it makes me mad. It makes me really mad. Cause like you just got like, for example, like what I was talking about, like you scroll through the store through like on any of the games on sale, and they're almost always on sale. And there's like you scroll and you hit like 3 or 4 different games
yeah,
that are like hentai related, and it's like
yeah,
all, and you're like, what the fuck? Why is like why is there so much of this and not enough of like your big properties
yeah. And you
that
buy them and then you
are
download them,
doing
and
nothing but sitting on some fucking fat nerd's shelf collecting dust and no one else can play it. It's damn
yeah,
it.
preach. Preach. No, dude, you're right though. Can we talk about that sales section? Like, it doesn't even need to exist any longer on Switch. That deal section, because as soon as you do, the Switch is like, "Well, I'm gonna crash now," because it's always, dude, it's always like 30,000 indie titles about radishes or
yeah.
Yeah,
something. Like it's
dumb
always,
shit.
yeah. I'm like, and it's like marked down from $10 to 99 cents, and you're just like,
Yeah.
man, yeah,
And you're like,
yeah,
wow,
it's
that
so
game is like
unorganized.
$20 when it's not on sale? Like, ugh, you
Yeah.
know?
Or yeah, the deluxe edition of some hentai game, like you said, it's like $120, and you're just like,
Just
that's in the best-selling section. Interesting. Yeah, yeah,
I think it would just it'd be interesting to see what they did if they just fucking bit the bullet and started putting more of that stuff out there, because it's doing nothing. It's just a memory for so many people, and they could take advantage of it. I would spend a lot more money on Nintendo if they were remastering more classics, because they've got so fucking many, and they seems like they only cater to just a few. It's the biggest surprise to me that Wind Waker's not on it yet. Like,
Yeah.
what?
You know, my theory is it's been done for 2 or 3 years, and they just haven't had a window where they needed to release a game, and they're just holding out to where they're like, hey, dude, I swear to God, I think this is what they're doing. They finished it. It's literally there. It's probably like a double pack for $60 of Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, and they got it done. And they're just like, well, we've got a game coming out every 3 months for the next year, so we're just not going to release it. And the moment that they look at their calendar and go, we kind of got a dry quarter, they'll announce it in some Nintendo Direct and it'll come out. But dude, I was telling my kids that because they're wanting to play it, and they're like, "Oh, that's awful. I don't want to believe that." And I said, "Yeah, I don't either. I don't know why I said it." It's like it's straight up like them. They probably just finished it.
Sacrilegious.
Oh my god, and it's just so frustrating.
Yeah, that was
But
I think it was ready a while back too, and yeah, they just haven't
mhm.
had a reason to to
Because
release
it's
it
going to be a big thing when it happens, and they're just
because
waiting for like a dry spell. They can
yeah,
milk
but
that.
even along those lines, like just like the issue like I brought up with the Pokemon stuff on Pokemon Day, it's like okay, the 35th anniversary for Zelda was the 2021.
Yeah,
So that was speculation and going into that where it was like, okay, maybe we're
yeah,
getting Wind Waker, maybe we're getting Ocarina or Majora's Mask, whatever, and it just never came. I don't know.
they didn't do it. They didn't do a damn thing, if I remember.
So I mean, maybe in I guess what 2 more years, maybe we'll get it for the 40th anniversary on the Switch too. But I
Maybe the
don't know.
Switch one just wasn't strong enough to handle it. Handle all those old classics. They've got to make a bigger. Well, we need more hentai games, and we can't fit enough on this small little puny console.
Yeah,
And make a
you
bigger
know,
one.
got to get your priorities straight, right?
Hey,
Man, I wish we had time to talk about GameCube, but what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say really quick. I missed it earlier when it got commented, but someone left a comment here asking about new tech and specifically the Apple Vision Pro. Have you either of you seen anything about it?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
What's the question? I don't see it in
Oh,
the.
it was just more along the lines of new tech and what we thought about that specific item.
I think it's
'Cause-
cool. It's
I
it's
haven't.
really expensive.
yeah. Well, I mean, they're Apple are the greedy versions of Nintendo where it's like, okay, we've got everything and we'll give it to you, but it's going to be a premium price on
It's cool that
on
they look like
everything.
goggles.
Yeah,
Like it actually, you can see through it rather than having to look through a camera or something. That's pretty neat.
but it's literally like you could be sitting on the couch and okay, I'm gonna look over to the left and I'm gonna have a browser for my computer open,
Mhm.
and then I'm gonna look straight ahead and
Mm.
I'll have a movie going. So it's like that next evolution of virtual reality in the sense of having all that stuff available without having to change
It's
devices.
the Oasis. The
Yeah.
Oasis.
Yeah.
Well, I don't not want one, but 3,500 bucks or whatever for. I mean, what it does is amazing, right? Because I thought I read that you can even hook it up to like your devices and use it like a TV,
Yeah.
essentially, right? So if you want to play your PlayStation on it at max resolution, you can while doing all these other things. So I think that's
Yeah.
that's awesome, or at least it can interface with iOS and all that. Um, but yeah, it's too freaking expensive. I mean, it's just
Is
How many PlayStation 5s is that? 7?
Too many.
Yeah, exactly. Too many. That was a better answer.
what did you say the price was? I actually just looking at the
30,
website. I know that
3,000,
The base? Yeah.
pre-orders start
34.99.
tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the base model though. That's not like higher memory and stuff. I think it does a lot of things that we'll see implemented consistently. I mean, I think that VR is like inevitable that's kind of a thing that's not going anywhere. It's going to get better with time, but um yeah, if someone gave me one, I'd be geeking out over it, but I'm not. I can't even think about looking forward to it or getting excited about it.
Can you use it on it? Like, is it? Am I gonna have to have an iPhone and a Mac to be able to use it?
I'm not
I think
sure.
so.
Okay,
No, an Apple, yeah,
I don't know.
probably.
Like,
But
it just seems like there would be something like
Just for
non-user
DRM.
friendly to someone that if it was my first Apple product, how lost am I? You know, like because I'm sure if you've got an iPhone, you connect it to your text, and you could just do all this seamless stuff that literally, like your phone, is you don't even have to have it on you. You know, you can just connect to it all through your, like a kind of like the Apple tablets work and shit, like where it can just simulate your phone if you want it to, or your watch can simulate your phone. That would be able to simulate your phone. So I guess you'd probably just miss out on some features. But I don't know. It's pricey. VR hurts my eyes though. That's why I like that one being the goggles like that. It's probably nice, but I've got the Oculus Rift 2, and that thing is a headache. Like, I don't even know what to do with it because I got motion sick with it a few times, and it made me never want to touch it again.
we got a comment about the Vision Pro specifically saying apparently you can take 3D photos with it. So I'm curious what that would actually look like.
That would be cool.
It's like literally like that would be pretty cool in the sense of like you think back to what that would be used for the most, and I think for me it's like um, family photos for like different events and stuff. So imagine, us being parents taking pictures of our kids Christmas time wherever and they're opening up gifts and just literally being able to see that whole space instead of just
Walk
one
around the
flat image.
moment. You could like get down in your kid's face in a photo moment, like
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, what's that? I'm seeing the experience that moment. Experience that moment forever. Yeah. 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 You know, it's cool. I mean, on that note though, like, I don't know how much time we have left, but like, uh, what, is there any technology you guys are genuinely excited about that you've seen or just the direction it's going?
There's nothing that comes to mind initially.
If there's ever a day where like the Google Glass, like if there's glasses and they're like small frame glasses, and I can play Pokemon Go and augment the world around me with those glasses, and like there's a Pokeball in my hand, I can
Mm.
physically throw it. There's Pokemon augmented into the world. If that game evolves into be something more more augmented reality, because they play a lot with it and they've done a lot of like that game is paving the way of a lot of augmented reality as far as like how much they're working on each individual sprite and mapping out the terrain of the world, and like you can throw a Pokemon out and like walk behind a tree and that Pokemon will disappear behind the tree because like they're just figuring things out like that. So it'd be really cool to see, like I want to see how far that game goes. I want it to get to a point to where it's no longer just on a phone and you can play it through some sort of like augmented reality glasses or something like that to just make it, I don't know, even more cool. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, one thing I've seen, and you guys should Google it because I'm just gonna butcher. Also, I got to sell something like that. Dude. Dragon Ball Scatter would be cool. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, that would be cool.
something I saw that's in development is you guys. I don't know if you heard of solid state batteries. I won't harp on it too long, but they're essentially new rechargeable batteries that have like no liquid lithium in them, but they're supposed to hold a charge for like several magnitudes longer than the batteries we have today. And what's really cool about that is the idea that like if they end up putting that in a switch or a phone or whatever device, you could be looking at not needing to charge your device for like a week potentially if these things can do what they say they can. Not only that, but they're supposed to be able to fast charge more quickly than any batteries we have available currently. Um, and what's even crazier is that they are supposed to be able to operate in different temperatures without having any change in performance. So anyway, it's just something I was looking at. I was like, oh, that could make like some of the problem with like having really good graphics on the go, like with the Switch, right? It's not that it can't run the same as dock mode, but it consumes too much power. It just burns through the battery, you know. And so when you dock it, it bumps it up to like a little bit higher resolution depending on the game. But yeah, if those batteries get into production, it'd be really cool to see what kind of stuff becomes available on a mobile platform. And that's not too far off, apparently, when we could see those. It could be the next couple of years.
What I'm seeing is we might see them on the market, like for more our use between 2030 and 2035.
Oh, that's farther than I'd like to think.
Um,
But
there are companies using them already, though.
yeah, they're just not fully. I don't know how expensive they are to make, but it'd be cool. It's a cool
Yeah.
thing. It's a cool
Yeah,
piece of tech.
Definitely
that would
think
be
it'd be
cool.
cool. I'm probably a little too cynical right now, where it's like, okay, how are they going to try to make money off all this?
Oh, well, they'll sell them. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
but
for
in the
sure.
sense of like whether, I mean, we already see rechargeable batteries for just about any battery type, but yeah, making something longer like that, a little cynical to be like, okay, well, if they make
That's
this to where I
affordable.
charge it once and I don't have to worry about it for like a whole year or longer, a little. It's like, well, they can't really make as much money off of that unless they make so much off of the first like initial investment.
Mm. Yeah, I would imagine that like if they're gonna start to take away like where we constantly have to buy batteries and stuff, buying one of those is gonna be probably a heavy investment.
Yeah,
You gotta think about all the shit that takes batteries.
yeah,
Nick, are
hey,
you all right? Your video dropped.
yeah.
Uh, maybe his phone died.
Well, I saw it go into like, uh,
Yeah, it
I
flipped.
saw it flipped. I wasn't sure what happened. Oh, Brandy just said it. His phone died. So,
Well,
uh,
um, Brandy, does he want us to go ahead and call it, or does he want to try and make it back in here somehow? Um,
we're like a little bit past the
because
2 hour mark. So,
yeah,
um,
we're at the end of the time, and just I hate that he couldn't make it all the way to the end with us. Quitter.
yeah.
Probably a little frame rate issue, and he was like, "Ah, fuck these guys, I can't do this. I can't do this. This shit needs an update." It either works. Is he trying to come back? You got. Oh, he's there. The phone is fully dead now.
Yeah.
It finished completely turning off. Oh man. Yeah, like Nick said though, I want to talk a lot more about the GameCube. I I was really upset that in hindsight of our first podcast that we didn't talk almost any about it, and I mean, it's one of those consoles that took up a uh, better part of my childhood. So we'll definitely keep going on. We need to go in on more specific consoles.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that was my initial thought was, you know, I was worried that we might run out of things to talk about, and but then afterwards I'm like, man, there's like a few key moments for me in my life, in my intro to gaming, where I was like, man, I could still go on about it. I didn't touch on all of it. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, GameCube's definitely one that deserves some more love.
Yeah. There's also like a lot of stuff on the PlayStation 2 was just one of the biggest libraries of games. There's so many games on that.
Well, they kept making
Um,
games for it for like I don't know how many
through the
years.
PlayStation 3's almost whole life,
Yeah,
they were still putting shit on the PS2. Yeah,
I
like
think. I
it.
mean, I
I mean,
think
it held
most of
on
it was.
strong.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the majority of those games were like um, a lot of Japanese-based studios. But yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, for so long they milked it for all it's worth. Not necessarily in a bad way,
Hell yeah, they did.
but
Yeah, I mean, post like when the PS3 came out, anything that came out on the PlayStation 2 after the PS3 came out was like, okay, what are you doing? Like,
yeah,
I don't remember anything notable that came out after. And by that point, I skipped the PS3 and went to Xbox 360, and then came back to. I picked up the PS3 late in its life and got rid of it, and got another one and got rid of it, and I had this like on again, off again relationship with PlayStation for a while.
yeah. I uh,
And
I I didn't get a 360 at launch. It was probably a year or two afterwards. But yeah, I'd say there for probably about 2 to 3 years, I was like back and forth. Well, I would whether it was GameStop or a friend or whoever, it's like, okay, I'm done with my 360 now. I'm gonna trade it in for PS3.
yeah,
And
yeah, but
the very last time I did that was um, I don't even remember what the situation was like while I was there that specific time, but I was at GameStop and they still had one of the R2D2 360s in stock, and it was like really cheap at the time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. Like, be stupid not to. And I held on to it for a while, and then eventually sold it to get a PS3 or something. And I hate myself for it now. Like, I wish I would have kept it
yeah, still, I bet that hurts. I
because it was
Yeah, I've
it was
had a
the
few of those.
R2D2 it was the R2D2 console, and then the controller was C3PO, and
Yeah, that was
it was
such a cool.
nice, and I wish I would have kept it.
Made the R2 sounds whenever you turned it on.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
saying Nick won't be able to make it back, so.
all right.
Oh,
Well, then
well, he
wait.
jumped. She just commented saying he
Hey,
wouldn't be able to make it back, but
well, we'll wait because it looks like he's loading in. Similarly to that, though, I was gonna say like I had the Halo Reach Xbox 360, and I kicked my ass for getting rid of that one, man. It's like
yeah,
silver, had like all the Oni writing on it and stuff. I hate myself for trading in so many of the different consoles and shit I've had over the years. There he is.
Hey, one.
Speaking of those solid state batteries,
What's so funny?
it was just so poetic. We're talking about batteries, and
yeah,
then your phone dies.
That is poetic. I heard that ass comment about the frame rate. You're never gonna let me live that down, are you?
no, I'm not, man. I'm not. I'm just gonna take like one little minor thing that you kind of had a problem with, and just run it through the fucking floor. Be like, yeah,
I
he's
think it's a bigger problem than you're giving it credit for, though. To be honest, you ask Brandy sometime. She'll tell you that frame rate's a pretty big conversation uh, in our house. I was trying to get my freaking headset connected. How much conversation did I miss?
we just talked about I mentioned that I want to get around to the conversation with the GameCube and just like stuff like that, and then we started talking about how Brandon used to have a really cool Xbox 360, the R2D2 one, and then we started
Oh, nice.
yeah going off on like trading in like this could be a future conversation, but like let's like top three regrets for trade-ins at GameStop or McKay's. Like, what's three things that you took to McKay's or GameStop that you
Oh,
wish you never did?
oh man.
That you like,
Listen,
or a pawn shop.
dude, I
Pawn
got
shop
like,
would be one of those too. Like,
I mean, I have more regrets about that. I mean, dude, I'm good on it. Listen, that's up to you guys. We can go into overtime if you want tonight. I'm good with it. If
I'm
y'all want to
good.
talk another 30
I'm
minutes or
okay
something.
because that just based off like because he had mentioned he'd got that Xbox 360 and wish he'd never gotten rid of it, traded it
Oh,
in. I'd got the Halo Reach Xbox 360 and wish I would have never gotten rid of it. As well as the other like thematic consoles and stuff that like I've had and don't have now because at one point I was an idiot and would do anything for $20, I guess.
dude,
Um,
amen to that. Did you guys, okay, do you guys remember the Game Boy Micro?
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so not a lot of people do, which, that's a shame in itself, but like it was like one of the less popular devices, right? It was essentially a Game
I
Boy
didn't
Advance.
own one,
But,
but
so I
yeah, it was.
did. I had that and I had like the SP version. Well, geez. So this is what I'm talking about. There's like I also had the Game Boy Advance SP. I had the NES edition of that. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it had like the gray and black and red. I
Well,
sold that.
yeah.
That's one that's just like blow my brains out levels of regret. Like I don't even want to look online to see how much that costs. But the Game Boy Micro, I had the Famicom edition, which I can't even believe came out in the United States, but it was red and gold.
Yeah.
The colors, and those were the colors, right, that the NES was in Japan. Um, and it was like a special edition. I got it for like 13th birthday or something like that. I ended up selling it years later for like $40 to I was gonna trade it in at GameStop, but they weren't taking it at the time. So I sold it to a dude I worked with there for like $40. And
Mm.
I'm just like, what the hell? That's so that and now I'm looking, I'm like, man, it'd be really cool to have a Game Boy Advance Micro again. And then I look online, they're just like nowhere to be found. Um,
Yeah.
That's just some of the regrets. I mean, I've had PlayStation Vitas, PSPs, GameCube games.
Mm.
I'm just like, yeah, yeah. Oh man,
The GameCube with the Game Boy attachment to the bottom.
had that. Yep.
Yeah.
I
Now,
never.
now if you look at the price of just that little attachment, dude,
I
make you
don't
sick.
want to, man.
It'll make you sick. It's like
But
$200.
here's the thing though. It's messed up because the reason you sell all this stuff is because you think like I won't have any problem getting my hands on those games in the future. They're gonna come out, they're gonna
Yeah.
get re-released, and then you find
You
out
want to
that's
keep
not
up
how
with
it
what's
works.
current or
Yeah,
refresh your stock, you know?
exactly. And you're like, I can't just be a pack rat. I got to make out with the old and with the new. But
Mm.
yeah, then 20 years pass and you can't play fucking Final Fantasy Tactics, and it's just like this is ridiculous. So, dude, it's hard, but I try not to sell like any collectible devices at all. Like selling like my first Switch or something, that's fine. Like that's like a standard model. I got the OLED, but yeah, like I've got the Pokemon Sword and Shield Edition DS Lite. I don't play it anymore. I don't know if I ever played it, especially with the OLED, but I'm like, I'm not selling that. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I know I'll regret it. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's just something
I've
on
kept at least most of my Nintendo consoles. Like I've still got my GameCube. I've still got the original Game Boy Colors and the SP. And I'm mainly keeping those because eventually I want to have those on display somewhere. Like with the at least with the Game Boys, I intend on making like shadow boxes with them, with like the Pokemon games around them, and trying to hunt down like physical copies of the Pokemon games and not spend a fortune on them. been frustrating. Like I'm got a spreadsheet with like all the games I have and don't have, and it's like several $1,000s to get everything that I would need for like a project like that.
Yeah. Um,
What's like? Oh, go ahead, Barrett.
no, you go ahead, please.
No, I was just gonna say, what's like the coolest piece of like gaming memorabilia you own? Like, obviously, having a GameCube still and stuff like that's awesome. But like, do y'all have like something?
Uh,
No, that's probably it for me. Just the
I
Game
mean,
Boys and stuff.
We see something
I've got
here.
the Halo
Awesome.
5 Xbox One. And that was pretty cool, but it's it's in a bag in the closet because the white one looks better on my shelf. um, oh, is that the instruction booklet for the game? Or is that the
No, this
box?
is this is winter 2003 marketing for GameCube that I got. I grabbed this from like a Walmart, like literally
Yeah, those are
20 years ago, and it shows all
That's
the games
cool.
that are out and coming out. Like this is
Mm,
before. Let me see. Oh, you guys remember the e-reader? Like this was when the e-reader was like about to be released.
oh
yeah.
yeah, dude. Oh, I had that.
Dude, why is
All
that
those
not a thing
stupid
anymore?
Pokemon cards that you'd
Like,
swipe on it and it'd put it in the game.
dude, yeah. And what a
Yeah,
great
bro.
device,
I was
though.
just talking to Kanan
Actually,
about the e-reader cards, about like we were
that's
just
so
talking about the
funny.
different borders on Pokemon cards like a few weeks ago, and I was telling her about the e-reader, like the Pokemon cards with the barcode on the side of it, and how expensive some of those cards are now, even though that card
No,
looked
dude.
terrible with that shit on it.
Yeah, it looked horrible.
It's tragic. It's
Yeah,
tragic.
remember like,
But
dude, Monster Brain. You remember the Monster Brain, the
yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah.
the Game Sharks and shit. Like, I wish I still had some of those, just to like have like
Dude.
old Game Boy fossils, you know?
But like this marketing for Final Fantasy Tactics,
Oh
like,
yeah.
dude, that was so
Is that what did
that
it?
was dude, that's what did it. That artwork. But I got a bunch of BS like that I just can't get rid of. I don't want to get rid of. Um,
Yeah.
This is
I
probably
yeah.
like the coolest thing I've still got is like the old like
What is
link
that?
the link cables for
I
like the
still got
original
those
Game Boy.
cable. Oh,
So
I'm jealous.
yeah,
That's awesome, dude.
little show. I mean,
Yeah, we got to do a whole set. What is that? Oh, damn it to hell! Is that got emerald in it?
yeah, Emerald with no sticker.
Come on, give me some credit though for just
Yeah.
spotting that. Like, that's awesome. See, I don't. Oh, game. Yeah, the
Oh
Game Boy
wait.
Advance was like the best handheld console to me probably ever. But that was during the GameCube period. So you had the Game Boy Advance, and like Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion released like the same year, and they had where you remember where it had where you linked the two, and you could get the suit from Metroid Fusion in
Oh
Metroid
yes.
Prime. Dude, that was
Here's
that was the best.
hey,
Oh, that's
you
a portal. That's a
and the
not a portal,
and the only
portable.
game that I have for it.
Oh man, that's awesome, dude.
so you
I'm
you
about to have a
mentioned
nerd off.
you mentioned the best handheld. I've still got mine somewhere, but I'm gonna mention one that I don't know if either one of you have ever seen or played for that matter. But around the time of like early '90s, late '80s, like when the Sega Genesis was like Sega's main console, they
Hmm.
released the Game Gear, like their handheld.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I know
you remember
that.
the
I
Game
love
Gear?
I love that thing. Like I had this X-Men game and like I think they made this one Power Rangers game that was like based on the Power Rangers movie, but it was like a 2D fighter like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter that I absolutely loved. But those things are great because I think I don't remember ever playing it on the go in that sense because I think it took like 6 or 7 batteries just for it to play. So like
Yeah,
I just always played it with the power adapter.
Damn.
man, No, that's cool. I remember that. That thing was so far ahead of its time.
So
I remember playing some really crappy Peter Pan game on it that a friend had
yeah,
or something, but I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
yeah.
We
So
got to have like a show and tell competition at some point.
I think I've still
I've
got it,
got
but if I do, that's
Galen
definitely got
covers
to
for sure.
be definitely the best thing I have.
Is the Nomad? Did you ever have the Game Gear? Or wait, was it the
Yeah,
Nomad
yeah.
or the Game Gear that you
I
had?
had the Game Gear.
Okay,
I've still got
I
my
remember the
Sega
Nomad.
Genesis somewhere too.
Jeez Louise. I have a Wavebird wireless controller with a GameCube.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's
I have
probably
see
one of the best controllers.
recently I found my GameCube
Hmm.
at my parents' house in the closet, and when I was like, it was one of those times I went over to my parents' house and I just got nosy and was like, I haven't been in my old closet in a while, and then like start digging and I found a box of the GameCube in it, and I got hopeful, dude. My stomach, I remember like being like, oh god, maybe there's more, maybe there's games. I swear to God, if any of my games are in here, like I will lose my fucking mind. And I couldn't even find cords for it, bro. I was so
Mm.
butthurt. And then my stepdad was like, I think your sister still has hers in her room too. And I was like, so I go in her room and like start going through her old closet, and like find her GameCube. And it had all the cables to it and a controller. So like
Mm.
I ended up being able to at least piece a GameCube together, but I need to get
Yeah.
an adaptation to be able to play it on my TV, and I need a fucking game. And
Yeah. I got Mario Sunshine. You're welcome to grab my Mario Sunshine. If the only problem is I don't have the connector.
I have it on. I've got the Mario collection on the Switch that has it.
See, I do
Um,
too. So like it's so
it,
obsolete.
it's that's one of those. It's like, okay, I've got that on the Switch. I don't fucking need a GameCube for that. But if I could find
Exactly.
either Gale of Darkness or Coliseum, the Pokemon
Mm.
games, Mario Kart Double Dash,
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah.
fucking Manhunt. You remember
Oh
Manhunt?
man. Yeah. Rockstar. Yeah. I
uh,
remember, man.
um, fucking Twilight Princess.
Oh.
I want to give Wind Waker another shot because I have a very that is at the bottom of my favorite games of Zelda, and it's like it's like most people's favorite. And I played it at a time, rage quit, and never played it again. And I've just stood on my own hill of fuck that game. I don't like it. But I'm at a point where I want to retry it, and that's what makes me mad at the Switch, Nintendo now, for not like giving me that opportunity.
Yeah.
But
You get it.
yeah, if I also like, because what I really thought I was gonna find in that closet though was the Game Boy adapter, because I don't
Mm.
know where that thing would have went, and if I would have found that, bro, and could play like, because I've got some of my old Pokemon games and shit, just play them on the TV again, man. I don't know. It'd probably be fun for 20 minutes and be like, that was cool. Put it back in the closet. But still, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah. You got to get out of your system,
Should be
right?
able to do
Until
that,
you
damn it.
do. Yeah, I agree.
You mentioned like that Wavebird. I still think that to this day is one of the best controllers. And GameCube in general was I don't know, just because it was so different. It's my favorite
Mhm.
controller of anything. To the point where now, like
Yeah.
anytime a new console comes out, I'm like trying to find, even if it's third party, trying to find a way to get a GameCube controller. And with the Switch, like I got that Nixie Wizard that I think I've showed both of you. Like it literally, I mean, it essentially plays just like the Wavebird did, but you can detach it and hold each side of it. It's so absurd, but you can hold each side of it as if they're Joy Cons. But I'll tell you
Yeah, that thing's cool.
the one controller that needs to make a comeback is the the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw GameCube controller.
Yeah. Yes, I was thinking about that
Yeah,
earlier.
dude.
That thing's absurd. Man, and stuff like that, like it just seems so stupid when it comes out, and then like here you are all these years later, just being like, how that would be like the coolest thing ever, like to get one or have one. So yeah,
I
so
used to have a Game Boy Advance that had a backlight modded into it. So I had like
oh
literal switch on the back of it. You can just flip like whenever you turn it on, you flip a switch that was like cut. A
Dude,
hole was cut into the back. Flip the switch, it turns on a backlight. It would run. It would kill the
oh,
battery, but you could put that battery extender on there.
it's just this
That like
hulking beast.
so you got like
Yeah.
you got that Game Boy Advance with the fucking donk on the back of
Um,
it. Yeah.
what was y'all's favorite? It sounds like you had a GBA, right, Brandon?
Yeah.
What was y'all's favorite game for GBA? Would you say?
Um, for yeah, probably Emerald, Pokemon
Emerald's
Emerald.
Mm.
great. Dragon Ball Sagas.
Oh yeah, the RPG.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sagas was
those were.
great.
I never played them, but I heard those were great.
There was also a Yu-Gi-Oh card. I think it was like
Mm.
Fate of the Duelist or something. Was like one of my
Yeah,
favorite games
yeah.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
at the time
Dude,
Oh
when
yeah.
that brings me
when
back.
uh, when Yu-Gi-Oh came out, like there was a code on the bottom corner of the card that you could enter into the game to get those cards in the game.
Yep.
So like I remember I had like a this is back when I think the website was like Cheat CC or Cheat Code Central. Like I had like a whole book. Probably
Supercheats.com, dude,
it was like
for
Oh
life.
my God, I forgot all about that website.
If you were ever on Super Cheats, like we could have talked to each other in the past. If you were like I used to live on those forums. I'm sorry, Brandon. I didn't mean to like. But you said
no.
Cheat CC, and I was like Super Cheats.
I was just gonna say like back when I was playing that Yu-Gi-Oh game, I had probably a printout of like 40 pages of just the codes for like every
Oh my
card
gosh.
in Yu-Gi-Oh. And it was just like I was checking it off over time. Like I'd enter in a page like every other day or so until I got everything. And then I don't remember playing it much after I finally got everything entered in.
Oh, you guys are taking me back. You guys, because I
Yeah.
remember, dude, I remember now the maps of Pokemon that were made with like asterisks and hashtag symbols or
Game
pound
facts.
is what I grew up. Yeah, yeah, like game facts. But I remember like Super Cheats had like breakdowns too, so like it would be
Yeah.
maps built with the symbols. So it'd be like
Yeah.
you need to go here in the cave, and now now
Yeah, dude.
you don't have to do that. But yeah, that was that was some hardcore stuff, man. That's
I was
awesome.
saying game facts because all their walkthroughs were built like that. Were built with like
Yeah.
there's some crazy
Oh,
textile
you're
thing in the
right.
top and built a picture, and then you would scroll down and but Super Cheats would do it too with the maps and shit. I forgot about that. But like
No, you're right though. GameFAQs is still around, isn't it? That's crazy, dude.
probably
Um,
they gotta be.
yeah, that's so nostalgic.
You said, bro,
That's awesome.
whenever you said Cheats CC, that like
We had a
unlocked core
stroke.
memories,
Just-
bro. Like that was why like I had Super Cheats. Like, oh my god, that was such a huge part of my fucking life.
Dude, I remember using
That's so
that like
great.
that was like around the time like we first got internet for the first time and just I'd get online just to look up stuff like that on like for cheat codes, whatever it was, and just being like constantly like not yelled at, but just like, all right, hurry up in there, I've got to use the phone, hurry up.
Yeah. Yes.
Man,
Oh
it
man,
was.
the terrible dial-up noise because you just had to get on for a minute to look up one thing. You know, no
Oh
one
my
can
God,
call.
those were the days, man. Just
Yes.
that demonic wailing from the computer as you're trying to get booted up. Oh, you know what's so, dude? It was so tragic that the internet wasn't fast because there's a story I tell sometimes. But like with Wind Waker, I was telling my friend who I had to be like what 11 at the time or I don't know, but tell my friend like, yeah, I'm playing Wind Waker. It's awesome. My friend just casually asked me, says, "Have you gotten Rock's Cape yet?" Now I can't remember which Zelda game had Rock's Cape or Rock's Feather, but it gave Link the ability to jump. I'd never played it. But anyway, he asked me that. Well, I meant no, this is before Minish Cap. I want to say it was like Link's Awakening, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons. I don't know. Um, but anyway, he asked me if I'd gotten that item yet. Now, if the internet had been around, I could have just Googled like how to get this and figure it out real quick. But the thing is, it's not in the game. He didn't he didn't tell me that when he asked. He was just like, "Oh, I was just curious if it was in the game." Dude, I 100%ed Wind Waker. I 100%ed Wind Waker. Like, I found stuff that like had to be the most obscure thing ever. Looking for Rock's Feather and 100% of the game, and just like, man, it's out there somewhere. And I spent years just thinking, like, where have I not looked? Like hitting walls like with a hammer and stuff in that game. And then years later, it's like, oh yeah, no, I don't know if it's in the game or not. And like internet's like, oh yeah, no, that's not in the game.
Yeah, if
But
I'm
man, at the time, ugh, you know,
yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that's only available in like the GBA games, or at least was it Oracle of Seasons?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I wish you'd been there in 2004 to help me figure that out. But boy, did I find some obscure stuff in that game. Anyway, point was, internet wasn't what it is now. So
Yeah.
thank God for
Oh,
that.
But like,
I definitely think it's taken for granted a lot because yeah, like back then you just had to hope that whatever this person was telling you was right. Whereas now you can get that answer within like 5 seconds.
Hmm. Yeah, you don't have to figure out anything in Zelda. And God, I wish I'd like I talk about getting stuck in Wind Waker. Like, there's so many times I got stuck in that game and just spent hours. And just think, then you get, oh, dude, you guys remember thinking this? You get to the point in that game where you can't get to the next part, and you're going, what if it's glitched?
can we talk?
And you're just like, what if it is? How would I know? And you just, dude, I had that happen in Wind Waker 3 or 4 times where I was like, I think the game's
Deku
broken.
tree. Trying to
Was that?
jump up from the Deku tree, and you got to cross the water, and you got to hit all those fucking whirlpool, the things that shoot you back up in the air to get to like the next area.
Yeah.
That's why I don't play that game anymore.
Enough
Something was
said.
broken. Something was fucked. I could not make it to the next area, and I was stuck at the Deku tree at one point, and that's why I don't play it anymore. Because I swore it was
Fair enough.
glitched. I was like, I'm not playing up to this point again. I'll play something else. It's fine.
Fair enough. I get it. Yeah.
But I want to try it again. I'm sure, it's a great game.
Ocarina of Time?
No, Wind Waker. Because Wind
Oh,
Waker was the
yeah.
one you jump, and you had like some propeller you were holding or whatever, and you're using these like little twisters that
Yep.
are on the water, and they're going like this, and you got to hit them just right to like stay in the air to go over the
Dude, I
water
know
to get to
I
the
know
next
the
area.
exact part you're talking about, I think, where you have
You
to
should.
jump, like the tornado is like south of you, and you got to jump in time for it to be north of you, and you got
Uh-huh.
to glide, yeah, and the timing, and then you also have to control the direction of the wind at the right moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm
I
pretty
ha-
sure it took me 2 or 3 hours
yeah.
to do
That's
that.
what made me quit playing it.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't
It
blame
did
anyone
me
for
in.
quitting that part. Yeah, I don't think I would have gotten through it. I don't think I would have gotten through that game by today's standards. It's so
No.
clueless what you do in some areas. The part I got really stuck on was where you had to like grow a bomb flower with a bottle of water, and like in this one puzzle, so you could blow up a spring so you could swim across the chasm. Yeah, it was somebody commented. I was like, seeing it. What's up, guys? Majora's Mask was best. Thanks, Lucas.
No.
Majora's Mask was cool.
Also, one I have a huge problem with. But I mean, the time aspect of that game is just like that's built for certain people.
I didn't play it until years later on the 3DS, and I definitely needed a guide to get through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that support, yeah, same here. You only beat it on DS. Yeah, amen to that.
But at the same time, I mean I know a lot of our experiences like that are nostalgic, so it's like boosted like nostalgia kind of boosts it. But I there is something to be said about going back to play those games now because you can play those games with a fully developed brain because there are some older games I've went back through and it's like okay, as a kid, I had no clue what I was supposed to do here, but now it's like, okay, I've played games long enough to where, yeah, my intuition just tells me I've got to do this other thing, and now it makes sense. So it's easier to go back and play some stuff like that now.
Agreed. Yeah.
But now I can also go back and like for instance with Kingdom Hearts, I can say, okay, well that wasn't me. That was just like that was poorly designed. Like like there's some aspects where it's like, okay, maybe it didn't have anything to do with my skill level. Like it was just it wasn't implemented well.
Yeah,
It does.
whenever it's failing at being a platformer.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
funny.
I
I
remember.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to talk about the vines, the vine swinging.
Oh
Like, yeah, it's funny to think how far I got without knowing you could lock on to the next vine that you needed to hop to. Like, think about
Yeah.
that. Like it's a profoundly difficult thing to do with the consequences of like there goes 5 minutes of climbing back up chutes and ladders to get to that vine just to fall again. I mean, it's a wonder like you don't have more mental illnesses from these games that may just punish the hell out of you for not
I'm
understanding what to do.
sometimes I'm confused why I think so fondly of Kingdom Hearts because of
No,
like all
don't say that.
well, I mean, you think about it. Like it's this constant love hate. Like you talk about the mechanics of the first game, pretty garbage, especially in the shadow of Kingdom Hearts 2. And then you got Chain of Memories, which set up a whole bunch of story for 2 and had they made a terrible decision to like keep the play of the first game while also adding in this deck thing that, you know, but just and how every game has had a new gimmick or a new thing that just makes it, and then three's in development for 10 15 years and has the worst dialogue of any of them. Like it's like, okay, this was okay for the first one, but we've progressed, and all Sora said, like, Sora's script of dialogue in that game is probably one fucking page and a lot of oohs and ahs.
Mhm.
It's
Dude,
depressing. So you watch it and you're
yeah.
like, does it should I like, it's like a game like I want to show my friends like this game is so cool, and then you get to a cutscene, you're like, okay, we don't have to watch this part. It's kind of fucking stupid,
Just kidding.
Yeah, let's skip the cutscene. And
That is so funny.
The Disney rides is fucking being implemented as fucking summons essentially was just like, god damn it, like, and the fact that the game took years and years to develop because it took them so long to be able to animate Elsa's hair and dress the proper way, like. They couldn't get it to stop. They probably couldn't get her to quit fucking T-posing. And Disney wasn't gonna fucking settle for a T-posing Elsa. Like, I'll be
Not
damned if
back
you
in
if you
then.
do that. Or
Oh, how
fucking
times have changed. That's hilarious, dude. You're cracking me up. You know, I
uh
don't want to think about these things, but like, if there's $1 for every time that there's like some slow pan in the game where he goes, some character goes, Donald, Sora, Goofy. Like I was playing it again, and like for some reason they get acknowledged in that way, in that order, by like every supporting Disney character in the game. Yeah, you'll be playing, it's like Donald, and the camera just pans, and you're like, what?
yeah.
What happened? What just happened? Like, am I having a stroke? Um, but my wife really struggles with Kingdom Hearts 3 because she feels that everybody was really abusive towards Sora. I hope we have to get there.
I,
I think she
I
just
need to.
commented in the chat. Maybe we should get like a
Mm,
compilation of how abusive they are to Sora in that game. But she's like, I just I don't like how they treated him. Treat him like he's
I
an
can't
idiot.
remember. Like, they treat Sora, yeah, like he's not like he's not. Yeah,
He's
Sora is
incompetent.
treated like he
Yeah.
didn't learn anything through any of his adventures this far. Ah, I forgot. Yes, that was a big thing too. Is like, wow, Sora is like the most undeveloped character in this whole game. Like, they put in stories like Toy Story, Big Hero 6, and Frozen, which essentially were outside of the stories that those movies told. And especially with like Big Hero 6 being like sequeling it, with
Yeah.
and adding new dialogue there, and then you've got this character who's been through so much that acts like this is his fucking first time holding a keyblade. Like they really did the whole new character syndrome bad to Sora in that game, and it sucked, man, because like you you want him to have some experience under his belt after everything he's been through, but he still just seems so goddamn clueless.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like Stockholm syndrome or something. Like he
yeah,
hasn't had time to develop because he keeps forgetting the past year of his life over and over again.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, it's almost like they fucked his brain up by like taking all of his memories away and rebuilding him completely. It's like they put a few pieces in the wrong order, so he's a little off now.
Just literally, characters just literally handicapped. I never thought of it that
Yeah.
way. I don't think
They
I can. I
handicapped
don't think I
Sora by rebuilding his memories. They put something in there wrong
just guess.
because
Okay, yeah,
he
maybe
has
it's not that
forgotten
funny,
everything.
but yeah, it's just literally. I mean, how many times can you rebuild someone's memories before
Yeah, and
it
that's
just
probably
doesn't
why
stick?
Donald and Goofy have such low patience for it, because they're like, we've been through this, dude. Like, what do you like? They're saying what we're saying. Like, why are you so fucking stupid this time, man?
Yeah, there's like it needs to be like an empathy for Donald campaign. Um, but yeah, it's like
Supporting
a
his
hard drive.
rage.
Like you keep you keep downloading it and erasing everything. Eventually, it's just not going to work right.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I'm not going to be able to think of it any other way ever again. Um,
Well,
yeah,
I've still
it's
got
like a
to
vampire.
I've still got to play 2 and 3, so I'll know what to like
That's
Savor the
hilarious.
moment with
focus on.
Kingdom Hearts 2, bro. That is the one I have the least amount of complaints of. Kingdom Hearts 2 to me is like that's the pinnacle of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I'm like I think I'm like halfway through 358 over 2 days. I'm like halfway through that, and
Thank God you don't have to play that game, bro,
I'm
because
glad
it
I
is
don't have to play it. But also the way they included like the way they include the cutscenes and stuff feels
they
odd
just
too
took out the
because
game.
but it'll just be a screen that'll pop up. It's like, all right, Roxas started going on his missions, and that's it.
On his repetitive missions that you do through the whole game. That's why they only need text to tell you that
Yeah,
Roxas killed a bunch of shit and you got another cutscene.
but it's like they split so much of that up. It's like they could have easily like fused a few of those together. It's like, do I really need to load up just that image that says he went on solo missions? But then
Yeah, the game doesn't need to
I think
exist at all.
I think one of the very last things I watched earlier today was there's a I think it's like right when Axel comes back from the first time going to Castle Oblivion, and they're all sitting on the clock tower, like Axel, Roxas, and Shion. And I never played the game, so I don't know exactly how it played out in real time. But there's like a scene where it just keeps like the camera will switch from Axel to Shion, and like when the camera's on Axel, Shion still got her hood on, but when it goes to her like up close, she's got it off and she's eating the ice cream, and then it'll cut back to Axel and she's got the hood back on. I'm like, what were they thinking here?
Yeah, it was like one of those like acting moments where they fucked up, like placing someone between scenes.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
continuity's just jacked.
Yeah. That
Hey,
game,
I'll
like I
need.
remember loving it in the time in the moment, but God, it's so nice that you don't ever have to play it again.
yeah.
It's not a replayable game.
So Brandy just asked that I never played two, and I will say
Yeah,
I never owned those games growing up. I played the first one through a cousin, so I never completed any of them. But um, recently, I'd probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I'd started playing back through them when they got put on Game Pass, and then my Xbox died, so and I never replaced it because it was right around the time that the Series X came out, and I was like, well, I'm not going to replace my Xbox One, and I don't know that I'm going to invest in the Series X yet, so I just never replaced it at that point, and it got taken off Game Pass. So then I bought the all-in-one package for PS5 or PS4, and then so I've been playing back through that, and I'm almost to ready to start too. But I I beat the first one in a couple days, and it was literally my son Jackson. Um, he was going away for the weekend, and I started the game on like Thursday or Friday before he left. So he saw like the first, which he's played some of Kingdom Hearts before, but he saw me play like the first hour or two, and then he literally when he got home on Sunday, either Monday or Sunday, he saw me like play like the last hour. So he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna try this out." So he's going through the first like the tutorial section of the first game, and he's fighting like the that first boss. Like for some reason the name escapes me, but
The shadow, the
yeah,
big
yeah,
shadow.
yeah. He's fighting that. He's like, "Why can't I dodge roll yet?" And I'm like, "Oh, you get that like a few missions in." And
Yeah, you earn it.
he keeps bringing stuff up. I'm like, dude, the game's 20 years old. Like some things were just bad. I can't. There's no explanation
Had to earn your
for why
abilities,
you
damn
can't
it.
do certain things. Or yeah, I know you've played games since then that implement a lot of this stuff better. I was like, it's just old. I don't know how else to tell you. I think if like after an hour or so, he finally like got fatigued and just like, all right, I'm done for today. But it's
Well,
interesting seeing your kids like go back through some of those older games because like I think one of the like when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, that was probably like one of his first games. So obviously a lot of their gameplay loop was polished by the time he started playing games. So
Yeah.
it's always nice seeing kids go back and play stuff like that.
one tip for Kingdom Hearts 2 is just make sure there's gonna be an opportunity at the beginning of the game to earn money. And I just want you to spend as much time as possible getting as much money as possible. You won't regret it. Just make sure you get enough money. And then I just can't wait to get
So
your feedback on the first 6 hours of that game.
Yes,
so
dude.
is this
We
one of
I,
those?
we need.
Is this one of those get money just like that boss fight or that first mission of Final Fantasy VII remake was going to take more than 30 minutes? Is this another one of those situations?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
It's
definitely.
very important that you have enough money to catch that train, bro. You gotta have enough money, and
Yeah.
and just like make sure you got more than you need
Yeah.
for all the
Like
extra things that you can get with it. Because
until yeah. Yeah. Until the game says you can't make any more money, basically. Like you just want to
yeah,
keep
yeah, yeah. Get really
you just
good at
want to
those
keep
fucking mini games too.
yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's basically how you level up later in the game is those mini games. You know.
so good.
I get what's wrong. You know. But yeah, just let us know when you
I
get there.
can't wait to have like a whenever you've completed the Kingdom Hearts games that you're gonna play. I can't wait to have like a full like an all out brawl. Like let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Why and it's gonna be why do we love Kingdom Hearts? And we're truly gonna be questioning it the whole time. Because like I know why I love it, but there's so much wrong with it that I'm like, why do I love it?
Got an interesting comment from Butt Play. Um, my Final
Okay.
Fantasy, my Final Fantasy is a woman like my favorite superheroes, X-Men. Yeah, I think you're
Hmm.
right.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I don't disagree. But but yeah, So yeah, Kingdom Hearts, uh, fun time. We might have to just make an entire session of talking about like what did happen because now I'm thinking about the game way too much, and I'm like,
Yeah, what the fuck happened?
Like they got us with their marketing, you know. It's why
Hell
we have
yeah,
Disney
they
Plus.
did, and it's
Yeah.
over too. That was the last one.
There's like there's like five there's like five really good things Kingdom Hearts does, and I don't think probably any of it's worth going through it
Provoke
anymore.
raw emotion from nothing. You know, because from the
Yeah.
Simple and Clean and Sanctuary, like
Yeah.
like you listen to the songs and like they are so heart wrenching for some fucking reason.
Nothing's
Especially
happening.
Sanctuary whenever it gets to that fucking metal part,
Yeah.
like, and where they're they're climbing
My,
the
my heart's a
stairs.
battleground. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude! When it gets to that shit, like you just don't even know why you're so fucking into it. Like they just
Yeah.
landed. I,
You're gonna
I don't
cry and
know.
laugh at the same time, dude.
Mhm.
Absolutely, you're nailing it though. Like that is how when you're playing, it's the most sentimental, like heart wrenching
Yeah.
thing ever, and it's never happened. Like it's never gotten better than them sitting on that beach, going like, "Let's go on an adventure tomorrow,"
Yeah.
and that's where it peaked.
It peaked
My
there,
God.
and then everything like you got set up for this great adventure and these characters, and then they split them all up, and you're like, we got to get them back together. Like,
Oh man.
but why is Riku being such an asshole? Like, there's all this like just manipulation and not understanding that you're like, well, that's not cool. Like, but you guys were okay on the island. Like everything was fine. Riku was a little angsty. Kyrie
Yeah.
was just, and now like, how can everything be okay again?
Well,
It
it
never.
can't be. I think that's the whole
It,
point.
it
Again, it's just
absolutely
like,
can't be. It can't fucking.
oh my God, you're literally ruining my childhood live on this stream, dude. Yeah,
Look, man, these things are important.
you
They're
you
good.
didn't
They're trying.
articulate it this well when we had the bonfire at Brandon's house. Like, thank you for sparing me then. But now I have my existential crisis over
I have to switch
my
off the
love of
headset
Kingdom
because
Hearts.
it's fucking.
Jeez, that's hilarious. Yeah, no, your take on Kingdom Hearts is the most bitter, cynical thing I've ever heard. It's cracking me up, dude. Oh my
Look,
God.
I'm
Tell me
so
more
I
about what's
feel
bad
what
about it.
I'm so
Yeah.
passionate. I'm sorry if I sound like garbage now. I'm so passionate about all these things. Kingdom Hearts is one of those things I genuinely question why I'm passionate about it sometimes, other than like, you know, it's got all the Disney beats. It's got cool Final Fantasy characters. It got me into Final Fantasy, introduced me to like most of that stuff. But, like when you think about like, it's really like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 were great. The middle games had their things. The the cliffhanger for Kingdom Hearts 3 and the wait for Kingdom Hearts 3 and we've waited so long for this, there's no chance that it can be bad. And then it coming out and, trying to live with that, like, okay, when am I going to admit this isn't a very good fucking thing? Like, how long is it going to take before, like, I'm like, all right, Sora's dialogue is the same throughout most of the fucking game, and he's the main character, and I'm getting even the fucking main NPCs aren't making very many good points. And what's in that fucking box?
Find out next time.
Like why did you
Yeah.
leave me with more questions than I had for 13 years? I'm sorry, this is a lot because I know Brandon's not trying to spoil anything specific, but I've got feelings whenever it comes to that, and I think it is a funny topic to think about, like a series of games that's so loved and be like, but why?
Well, and there's one part I want to talk about in two, but I guess I should wait. But it's the reunion between certain characters and the contrast between how much emotion is expressed and how much isn't. And you're
It's just
just
skip
like,
right over. It's just like, all right, and they're together now. Moving on.
yeah, I'm like, no, like where's the emotional payoff? Like you're
Right.
what you're like expecting just cataclysmic, heartbreaking, like the way they did in Final Fantasy 16. Sorry, Brandon, I know you haven't played that yet, but with like Clive and Joshua, like I thought
Yeah.
they nailed some of those moments, but yeah, they just kind of like it falls on its face. Like you basically get the feeling the characters will sell their soul to be together again, and then it happens, and it's just like, sup, sorry, let you down there, Brandon. But anyway,
Well, I
yeah, I
mean,
guess I don't like the games anymore. To tell you,
I
you
mean,
convinced me, talked me into it.
like I said, I know that first game's 20 years old now, but that's been probably the biggest change I've noticed because playing playing Kingdom Hearts 1, then going like immediately into Final Fantasy 7 remake, it's just like a lot of
Mm,
the systems and stuff. It's like night and day difference of like, oh, this
yeah,
is probably what they wanted to make back then.
yeah,
Yeah, they stuck with one idea for 15 years and never were like, never tried to add or change anything. They wrote the script for Kingdom Hearts 3 rough draft and it somehow made it all the way through and lasted through all of the development because they were working so hard on the animation and making it look
yeah.
good. And Disney was like, don't forget the Matterhorn. We got to have the Matterhorn in there. It's got to be good. Got to have the teacups. Make sure those rides look good. Make sure we're selling tickets. We're selling tickets. I don't want to ride the fucking cruise ship.
Hey, maybe next thing they'll have the cruise ship in it. That'd be cool. Or maybe Disney Plus will be in the game, like the channel. Maybe you go into like Tron, you know?
But
Yeah, that's tragic.
we can talk about what might be in Kingdom Hearts 4 after Brandon has gotten
Oh,
through. Because yeah. Brandon, whenever you get to Kingdom Hearts 3, if you don't play it on the hardest difficulty, you will have to look up a cutscene. Because there's like a crucial cutscene you get for playing on proud mode that like is like a what?
Okay, yeah, I'll keep that in
The
mind.
game in the game that's a game, but it's not a game.
it makes the most sense the games have made in the past like 10 years too. There's a hilarious part in 3 where essentially the characters go, all right, does everybody, like everyone's together, and they essentially go, all right, does everybody understand what's happening now? If you have any questions, though, go to your phone and look up the log, and you can kind of read about what's happened so that you're caught up to speed. Like that literally happens in a cutscene, and it was pretty profound. Kind of let
Yeah,
me know everything I needed to know about where the story had gone. But I like in the movies when I like in stories. I like in stories where everybody stops and like, does everybody understand what is going on in the narrative so far?
Yeah, and
Does anyone have any
everyone
questions?
says no.
Everyone says no because no one wants
No.
to look stupid. You can literally see it on Axel's face in that cutscene. He doesn't want to look stupid, and everyone else is thinking the same thing. Like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know how I got here, but yeah, at least it's fun to talk about. Jeez, great, great. But hey, guys, let's end on a high note. It's getting late.
All right. Is that the high note? Like we're ending on like you don't sound like you're gonna be ending on a high note, like going to bed being like,
Oh, you
why
kidding me?
did
This has
we
been no, this is hilarious. I'm cracked. You made me laugh, dude. Like I'm like slap happy now from just
It's
your
the
take
shit that
on
not enough people talk about, man.
it's
Like,
the hard topics that no
yeah.
one wants to.
Yeah, no one wants to admit it because they're too like emotionally invested in something that's been with them for
Yeah,
so long and
like Star Wars, like that fucking frame rate. Yeah, don't want to.
I don't know
Stuff
what you're
movies.
talking about.
I
Yeah,
don't either.
fair enough, guys. All right, you all have a good night. All right,
Yeah. Those of you that are still here,
Er,
thanks for dropping in.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for popping in.
we'll be
A lot
back. What
of
in a week?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Right now it looks like we've got our open days are Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We want to do at least 2 of those days. So whenever the next one's good for y'all, I mean, we can think about it more. But if we can get to a certain point to where we can like get on a schedule and it be regular, and also like somehow like even if like we're getting together and start talking by 8, 9 o'clock we go live, I think we like just have like a time frame whenever we're going to start to, and it can go on for as long as it wants to, but just like we'll we'll figure it out.
Yep. Yeah, we'll figure out some ways too to communicate ahead of time, so so that y'all can know when we're having one of these with some type of heads up. So
Yeah,
I
we're
did
still.
use my Instagram to go live. Like when I was going live yesterday or day before yesterday when we were going live, I posted something on my own Instagram and like linked it over. And that's something like I don't know if y'all use that or Facebook or what, just even to like your personal friends or people that follow you on whatever you're on personally. I'm just gonna use my platform to do that a little bit. It may or may not do anything, but something to hold myself accountable as well.
Yeah, I know we're still all working on, branding and branching out to different socials and stuff. So just be on the lookout for those. We'll start hopefully in a few streams. We'll start linking some of that stuff here in the descriptions
Yeah.
and stuff of this channel, and hopefully get some outreach towards other socials and stuff in the near future.
yep.
Who deleted OG's messages? Did he delete them?
Wait,
I don't know.
all I saw was
Who-
OG
we got-
has
we
been
got a
timed out for
moderator in here.
600 seconds.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he brought up some good points though. You know,
Yeah.
don't you
Yeah.
think?
It's the important things that no one's talking about.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like, yeah, that's what we're trying to do here.
Yep.
Definitely.
All
All
right,
right,
All right.
guys.
See you next
Love
time.
you guys.
Good
I'm getting
times.
out of here.
Yeah. Love you,
Well,
bros. Good night. Good night to the chat. Thanks for sticking through it. Take care,
Yep.
y'all.